pause it here for a second and be like, historians are going to look back at this and go, wow, how come all the Democrats just let these guys get away with their coup and then do fascism again? It's exactly like Hitler. It's exactly the same as fucking Hitler. Hitler tries to do a fucking coup. A bunch of people die. He gets a slap on the fucking wrist. They give him like, they charge him with treason and give him like minimum sentence. And he sits there and dictates a book. And that's it. Meanwhile, I get micro-examined for every single tweet I do. Mike Johnson's ensured American democracy is dead. I mean, of course he did. All right, everybody, I'm here. I'm here. Sorry for the long intro. That was very annoying. I apologize. I am here. I am awake. I've been kind of going it nonstop. You know, like I didn't miss any streams. I didn't miss any of my streams. And I went to TwitchCon. I went to TwitchCon on Wednesday. So Tuesday, I did my stream. And I drove via the Marina concert. That took me like, was an hour and a half away both ways. And then oh, what the fuck? Okay. Sorry about this chat. My window capture is on the wrong window. There we go. Did I talk about Platner? Yes, I did. He's such a fucking moron. He's such a fucking moron. Anyway, we'll talk about that more. We'll talk more about it. He's a complete idiot. But that's kind of a good sign. It's almost ironically a good sign. The Platner situation, like I've been thinking about it and I just keep shaking my head because it's so fucking dumb. But actually, it's a good sign. Like if you put away your like moralist, you know, rad lib, ultra lib, like, oh my God, I can't believe he's, you know, he's this then that bad thing. I don't want my politicians to be a bad person. Like if you put that away for a minute and you get serious just for a second, it's actually kind of a good sign. And if you're like, Mike, why is it a good sign? Well, the answer is violent, criminal, military members of the state so confronted by the contradictions of capitalism that they're becoming left-wing on their own. Even with all the Nazi fucking, all the annoying rad libs trying their best to screech, the disgusting right-wing freaks are still becoming left. That's actually a good sign. That means that a lot of normal people are becoming left-wing. I'm not saying that I like Grant Platter. I'm just saying that it's a good sign. There's a reason to like go, you know what? That's kind of cool. Honestly, like, can I just say that, like, I'm going to say the quiet part out loud, which is politics is a really evil, shitty fucking profession. And politicians are disgusting. Like, who else wants power? There's something wrong with you if you want power. The thing that's wrong with me is that I believe that I know what is right for other people. Like, I believe, oh no, we should have mandatory vaccines. I don't care what you think. Everybody on the planet should have vaccines. I don't care if they disagree with me. I would forcibly give everyone vaccines. That's a little bit fucking egomaniacal and arrogant of me to say that, but I think the evidence is so strong that it's correct, that all the objections are stupid, that I would forcibly mandate vaccines on the entire world, and I would make them free, and I would take other people's money to pay for it. Only Zionists and the online left care about the tattoo. I care about it because it shows that he's an idiot. It shows that he's a fucking idiot. The other thing that I care about is it shows that his advisors are as dumb as fuck as well, which is not great. I don't like to be this significantly smarter than the people that are representing the country in the Senate that are on our side. You know what I mean? Like that, you know, and obviously the tattoo is fucking ridiculous. That's my general feeling. But there are multiple Democrats who are CIA agents. And the online left is madder about this guy being a former infantryman than they are about multiple CIA agents. And it's like kind of interesting. It's almost as if the CIA is, you know, almost focusing your energy in a certain way to be angry at the people that are dissenting from the military industrial complex. Like it just stinks like CIA to me. I'm sorry, but it's like the anti-veteran attitude, because it's just like, what, you think you're any better? Like, as long as the person is changing their mind and arguing against the empire, then I don't care about that. That's my personal take, and that will never change. And that's your take too. That's your take too. Unless you're some sort of hyper fucking like privileged person, you're surrounded by regular people, that many of which served in the military because they wanted to go to college or some shit. It's like, come on. You know what a perfect example of the online left is? I saw a Palestinian posting about how they had a chicken meal for the first time in 7 months. They had like they went out to eat and had a really nice chicken meal. And they had 2 Coca-Colas in the picture. And somebody replied to them saying, Coca-Cola is BDS. How dare you? And I was like, this is the definition of the online left right here. First of all, the Coke thing is an organic BDS boycott. It's not even, I don't even think it's a directed boycott of BDS. It's like TikTokers, started posting and they all decided to, that it was BDS. And then people were like, well, I guess you should avoid Coke products when you can. And then I'm going to shame Palestinians for having a Sody pop. Like, what the fuck is going on, bro? Bro, Platner is not a CIA plant. He's just an American. He does it for free. No, the people that are like schizo over Platner are CIA plants. Like, and here's the thing. I am fucking furious over the tattoo. Like, that's the thing. You guys, he is supposed to be pro-Palestinian. Do you know how much of a gift that is rhetorically to Zionists? To be like, oh my God, the pro-Palestinian guy got a Nazi tattoo. They're all secret Nazis. Do you see how much of a gift that is? That's why I'm mad about it. Okay, because bro, you're gonna be a pro-Palestinian advocate and have a Nazi tattoo, you fucking idiots. Like I said that the Benjamin Netanyahu's idea of the Jewish ethnicity, the constructed Zionist ethnicity that was demonic, and I had to get fucking canceled over it. And this guy has a Nazi fucking tattoo. Like, give me a fucking break, because I misspoke 11 months ago. Because I think that the Zionist settler colonial project is racist. Now people say that, oh, Mike is saying Jewish people are demonic. That's not what I said. How am I expected to be held to a higher standard than the guy running to the fucking Senate? That's crazy. That was crazy. What good is an anti-Israel progressive with a Nazi? That's my problem with it. It's just like, bro, what are you doing? And so that being said, politics is about building a house with crooked lumber. Honestly, that's life. Okay, we do what we can with what we have. How many of you would have opposed the Carnation Revolution because the soldiers that did it were the imperial soldiers of Portugal? How many of you would have said, don't go out on the streets and support those soldiers, those imperial soldiers who are mutinying against the fascist government because they are the servants of that fascist government? How many of you would have raised your hand and said, no, I won't work with those imperial soldiers? He better live stream him cutting the tattoo out with an X-Acto knife. I mean, I legitimately, and I mean this, and maybe I'm being maybe I'm delusional, but I would scour that off my body or burn it off or brand it off. Like, if it were me. Caroline made a good point yesterday that not everyone who raises concerns is an annoying radlib. I think supporting Graham at this point or making the story about radlibs is completely misguided. No, I completely agree with you. I'm one of those radlibs right now. I'm one of the people that's mad about the tattoo. It's regular people that don't give a shit. I'm the radlib who cares about it. Like, what are you talking about? What I'm pushing back against is the idea that he being a veteran is enough for you to not support him. That's what I'm pushing back against. I am mad about the tattoo because it's so fucking stupid. And as a politician, you got to be better than that. That's just crazy. The thing I'm pushing back against is the anti-liberal, the radlib anti-veteran status bullshit. That's the thing I'm talking about. Now, the PMC stuff, that's weird, but Barack Obama is the one who did that. That's Barack Obama. Like, Barack Obama is the one who did the PMC shit. He was hired under Barack Obama. Like, that's the thing that's or was he under Trump? But anyway, it was Barack Obama who expanded the PMC stuff in the State Department because they didn't want to hire permanent State Department employees to be bodyguards, so they started farming it out. It was Obama that did that. I'm anti a guy that went on 5 tours and did a PMC tour and had no criticism other than the fiscal waste. That's not true. He had plenty of criticism of the wars. He said the wars were bad, not just because they wasted money. You're just lying about the guy. I mean, that's just not true. That's the thing that I am pushing back against. Did you see Hassan reading that segment from Lenin yesterday? Yeah, that's the segment that I bring up. He probably got it from watching me. Or one of my chatters sent it to him. I've covered that like 5 times. That's my argument. He had a suspicious amount of word-for-word mic takes yesterday. He doesn't wake up this early? Yes, he does. He wakes up and he works out. You guys don't know you need to study Hassan more. I thought you guys were parasocial. What happened? The fuck? thought you guys were parasocial. Uh-oh, Palantir crashing. In general, like my general take about Platner is he's a fucking moron. He's an absolute fucking moron. However, if he takes the right steps, I would prefer him because I'm an anti-Israel person and an anti-AIPAC person. So anybody who is an enemy of AIPAC is at least I'm interested in coalitioning with them, and I would rather they win. That's how I felt. Remember when I defended Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush from the rad libs that were protesting them because they did a rally with Bernie and AOC? You guys remember when I defended them? I defend them because they're enemies of AIPAC. I'm always going to defend enemies of AIPAC. That being said, he needs to do a lot of shit for me to like him again, which I don't think is possible. Like, this is bare minimum shit for me. And I hope he does it in a cool fucking way. If I were him, I would brand that shit off my body with a hot plate of steel on a fucking commercial. But if he replaces it with a hammer and sickle, if he had a hammer and sickle, he wouldn't have been allowed into the army. That's the thing that's insane. If Graham Platner had a hammer and sickle on his chest, he would not have been allowed into the army. And this is not a hypothetical. Army splits with West Point grad who touted communist revolt. He said communism will win. By the way, communist revolt, give me a fucking break. Images of Spencer Rapone posted on Twitter from his West Point graduation were intentionally shocking. In one, the cadet opens his dress uniform to expose a t-shirt with a blood red image of socialist icon Che Guevara. Another where he raises his fist and flips his cap to reveal the message, communism will win. And he got thrown out with an other than honorable discharge. And he was charged with conduct unbecoming an officer. So like that's the difference between when you have left-wing ideology versus right-wing. They don't mind. Did you see Elise Stefanak saying Zohran is a jihadist who will destroy New York? Notice that insane racism and Islamophobia isn't even a scandal. Probably just wanted to get out of the army. No, he's left-wing.
Wall Street gets all the credit, but it's the Bronx that keeps our economy alive. We're got the ones moving the trains and buses that power New York City. We're the healthcare workers who carried this nation through the pandemic. We run the grocery stores, deliver the food, and keep the shops open. And everywhere I look, I see people hard at work, producing this country's wealth. So how is it possible that I'm standing in the nation's poorest congressional district? My name is Andre Easton, and I'm running for Congress to represent New York's 15th congressional district to lower the rent and raise the wages. It's time to make sure that nobody pays more than 20% of their income on rent.
That's all it should take to keep a roof over our heads.
It's time to raise the minimum wage to $30 an hour.
Because our jobs deserve real pay.
As a public school teacher and a father of 3, I know that the real solution to rising violence and addiction in our streets is to give our youth a future. And that means fully funded schools, an end to student homelessness, free childcare, and guaranteed jobs for all.
Our bills are getting higher while the rich are getting richer.
And that's capitalism. A system where billionaires bribe our politicians to fund genocide in Gaza instead of what we know our people need. Capitalism will only lead to endless war, a dying planet, and economic catastrophe. We need a whole new system, one that funds life and dignity. That's socialism. Their system robs us. Socialism means taking back our economic and political power. The Bronx proves it every day. Our labor makes society run. It's time for us to run society.
Okay, Andre, that was a pretty base commercial. And he's got the Zohran font. And he has the communist star in the A. Oh, hell yeah, brother. That looks fun. That looks fun. We'll have to check more. I'll have to check out more. But I thought what's his face was gonna run. Che Ose. There's a socialite running for Senate in Ohio. I think everybody's going behind Brown, man. I think Brown is the one everyone's gonna get behind. I think organized labor is already locked in. So I mean, it's very tough. Like I think Brown is just. I think Ohio. I mean, listen, I have my problem with Sherrod Brown. I have my problems with him, but as far as like coming out of Ohio, it's there's just no one else is gonna have a shot. Like, he's too strong of a candidate. I think there are better places to spend your time. Oh, Shea is for Jeffries? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Main Senate candidate Graham Platner tells AP he got a new tattoo to cover the one seen as a Nazi symbol. He replaced it with a Hindu symbol of good fortune, well-being, and divinity. Okay, listen. This is the first time a Zionist has ever been funny. This is the first time a Zionist has ever been funny.
Graham's nursing home.
Graham died alone.
What do you mean? I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about? I didn't. What are you saying I missed this for? I'm the one who showed you this, motherfucker. I'm the one who showed you this. It's in my Discord. Like, if you go to my soundboard, it's right there.
Graham died alone.
Keep killing babies. And she put COVID patients in Graham's nursing home.
Graham died alone.
Holy shit, that's so... Tudor Dixon, man. What a candidate. Eyes off driving? What the fuck does that mean? Oh no. There's no way that's a good idea.
Do you feel like no matter who's in office, we keep struggling? From the cost of living crisis to endless wars, climate disasters, there's one root cause of these issues: capitalism. Billionaire bosses live off the backs of working people like us by design, not by accident.
Listen, as somebody who is a proud and avowed socialist that talks about capitalism being the problem, I feel like you're putting the cart before the horse. You're putting the cart before the horse. What I mean by that is, when you're talking to normal human beings, you should concretize it. And then when people are nodding their head a bunch, then you start talking about systems eventually. I don't like starting off right with, this is going to be a politics lecture.
We need a
That's
new
just
system,
my opinion.
one where workers are in charge, so we can plan the economy to meet the needs of the people and planet.
Like we're putting definitions on the board. What is this? Come on, man. No.
That's socialism. I'm Joe Chache from the Party for Socialism and Liberation, running for U.S. Senate here in Massachusetts. This time is up for these billionaires. I'm a youth worker, the son of an immigrant father and working mother. For over 7 years, I've been organizing in Roxbury and other parts of Massachusetts. We're parents, teachers, healthcare workers, and more. A working class party made up of everyday people who know that this country has to. Donald Trump is attacking our rights from every direction. These problems started long before Trump. In Massachusetts, we've been a blue state for almost a century. What do we have to show for it? Healthcare deserts, police brutality, crumbling infrastructure, and one of the highest costs of living in the country. The problems we face aren't impossible to fix. The solutions are common sense. 30% of food produced in this country goes to waste. There's no housing shortage. There's more empty homes in this country than there are homeless people.
Again, I just don't agree with this as a talking point. There are plenty of empty homes and places where no one lives anymore because there's no jobs. We need to build high quality social housing, and we need to build it right now in the cities where people want to live.
So why won't our government fix things? Because the billionaires are in charge and they only care about their profit. They cut programs like Medicaid and SNAP, using our tax dollars to fund genocide, war, and deportations instead. Then they try to blame our problems on us, on DEI, on immigrants, on trans people, on poor people. They want to see us fighting each other or hiding in fear. Because the billionaires' biggest fear is all of us united against them. We have the resources. We just need the power. Together, we can take control of our future, fund our housing, healthcare, and communities.
What is this guy saying that's wrong? Nothing. By the way, when I criticize an ad, it doesn't have to do. It's not that you're saying things that are wrong. It's like, how persuasive is it? How if I showed this to somebody who wasn't already in the club, what are they gonna think? And that's kind of the issue, right?
I'm running for Senate to fight for that future, but I can't do it alone. This movement needs all of us who are sick of living under the thumb of the billionaires. We don't need more politicians who will make deals with the far right. We need a new system. Capitalism is a national emergency. The solution. The solution. The solution. The solution.
He seems really cool, and I like him. He seems cool. I get what we're doing. Like, I get it. I understand. I just feel like one of the problems we have as socialists is seeming like we are a cult, or seeming like we have some sort of like we're dictating. We're here to lecture. And I don't think that's a good organizer strategy. I think the better strategy is to talk to people about what they need and what they want, and then come up with programs that they find credible. I think a lot of people that, especially if they're on the online left, they don't understand that when you're a politician, you're not talking to people that already agree with you. You're talking to literally everyone. You're trying to get everyone in a certain geographic area to agree with you. And that's a hell of a lot harder than trying to find a group of people online who will agree with you. You know what I mean? And so running for office requires more give and take from the community. It's not that he's wrong about everything he's saying. He's right about what he's saying. And we should use electoral politics as an opportunity to teach people. But there's also, you know, there has to be a give and take about how you talk about and what you talk about. I heard Mike was dancing his ass off at the capitalist party, the center of the capitalist Las Vegas. Okay, it wasn't Las Vegas. What the fuck? If you're going to be a schizo toward me, at least be a good one. Oh, that reminds me. Speaking of schizophrenics, I got to show you guys this. Ethan Klein and AB were so sad they weren't invited to the party, dude. They're so sad they weren't invited to the party.
But anyway, Mike from PA, who was not invited and who was not there, says,
I was 100% there. Who do you think recorded this video? What the fuck is he talking about? You were not invited. You were not there. What the fuck are you talking about? How are you this fucking envious of me? Guys, look whose video I'm quote tweeting. Envy is about closeness. This is jealousy. No, envy is about desiring something that someone else has. Jealousy is about losing something you already have. So he's envious of my friendships and the fun that I'm having. He wishes he has green eye shade, as they say. What the fuck is wrong with him? What is these guys are so stupid. Why do they think I wasn't there? I'm invited to the party. I was at the party. What are you talking about? You were not there. What the fuck is he talking about? Okay, let's keep going.
the following. We have so much more fun. We? Who the fuck is we? I don't see your ass in the video. Nobody.
I'm right. I might even be in the video. I might even be in the video. I'm not sure. I have a bad habit. I have a bad habit of not taking like selfies and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I might have a bad habit of not doing that, but I was literally there. What is he talking about? Do you see? Do you see? The way her existence just gives me pure serotonin. Posted by Vio. Caroline replying. They're literally hating from outside the club. And they made a video of themselves hating from outside the club. What are you talking about, dude? That's crazy. Legitimately, I don't know how anyone could be more pathetic than this. I don't know what to say. I don't know what else to say. I like that Ethan thinks this post has to have something to do with him. Bro, I didn't even think about you for a second. Or AB. I was just at a fun party with Vio, Casey Tron, Caroline. It was Will's party. All the cool people were there. You weren't invited. I'm sorry. I
wants your dumb, lame, obnoxious, weird ass there.
That's projection. That's projection, my friend. When I walked in, Will came and gave me a big smooch. That's you, my dude. That's you. You're the one nobody wants there. I don't know how to break it to you, my friend. But here's some video. Here, you see this? This is video I took on my phone. See that? See, it's right there on my phone. Oh, hold on. I don't want to show you that. That was my ticket to TwitchCon. Yeah, this is the live I recorded. Here, I got a really good live. Hold on. Check out this live, guys. Check out this live. I'm sorry, Ethan Klein, you weren't invited to the party. This is maybe the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. I know AB and Ethan Klein are sad, but holy shit.
This is why he's a socialist, because he wants to be cool.
The comment.
Does going to this party mean that I'm cool? Because if so, I guess I'm cool now.
Are roasting him. They're like, where are you at in the video? This fucking...
Casey Tron, his friend, is running D. Where are you in the video? Bro said we.
0 likes. 0 likes.
The gays?
They legit. Oh my god, it's so embarrassing. Like Destiny and Ethan Klein no longer, they can't go to TwitchCon because they have no friends. and they don't get invited to, and they're projecting. Bro, you were sitting alone at home, surrounded by dog shit and prong collars. Oh my lord.
We have fun.
I really like Austin and Carolyn, but I just found this fucking hilarious.
Who is we? You're this close to saying we have joy? I don't get that. But anyway, yeah. What a fucking...
Wait, so who quotes... Someone must have quote tweeted me. Someone must have quote tweeted me. Let me take a look at this. I guess not. But like, I just... H3 people, they're so mad. Bro, that's so sad. Bro, that's so sad. You know who wasn't at the party? You know who wasn't at the party? Asmongold. You know who wasn't at the party? AB. You know who wasn't at the party? Ethan Klein. This is actually so fucking sad. This is so fucking sad.
Wow, dude.
I think Connor was there. I think Connor was there. I don't know if I talked to him or not.
From PA, what a great one. Just get a load of him, man. Just get a load. He photoshopped it so weird to his icon. It's like so weirdly cut off on the edge. Just a strange guy, strange face. Just everything's strange.
Ethan, have you seen yourself? If people accurately describe you, you'll call them ableist, man. Have you seen yourself? Bro, come on.
You know? But that's what it is. So that's what I have to say about TwitchCon. I want to say shame on Twitch. Shame on Dan Clancy. Condolences to Emaru and everybody there.
Condolences? No one died, bro. You don't give a shit about her safety anyway. What the fuck is... Yo, this may be the saddest thing I've ever seen. That may be the saddest thing I've ever seen. Bro, I generally don't think Ethan knows who any... one of the things that's really funny is like, I don't need to correct these guys. I like that they live in their fantasy world because it's even funnier. It's even funnier for me. Dude is a multi-millionaire and he has no friends that he doesn't pay. Bro, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy. What's the saddest thing you've ever seen? Apparently, AB and Ethan Klein were on my Twitter because I quote tweeted a video that Vio and I recorded when we were at a party at TwitchCon, Will's party. And they did a segment on their show saying I wasn't at the party, but that I was at. And I think that may be the saddest segment I've ever seen. You had a segment about me not being at a party that I was at that you weren't at. That may be the most pathetic thing I've ever seen.
Some of this stuff I'm not really sure of. It's just things that I hear. But, you know, if the things that I hear are true, it wouldn't sound very good. And so I pretty much cut contact with every friend that was a streamer. I don't want to go into details or anything like
So my experience at TwitchCon was fucking amazing. Now, I know there was a lot of fuck-ups that Twitch had. And, you know, the Emiru situation, they really need to do better on that. But for me personally, my personal experience was incredibly good. And honestly, it almost feels like Asmongold and Ethan Klein and Destiny have zero fans. Because I could just walk around TwitchCon openly, no bodyguard. I could just walk around with Vio openly, meeting my fans, going to booths, not one negative interaction. Not one. They have no fucking fans, and if they do, they never leave their basements. Thanksing weeping for the recommendation. Did I get a chance to meet Gavin? I was doing he went into the purple lounge, which is like the actual partners lounge, and I just missed him, unfortunately. Asmongold has completely isolated himself with his own degeneracy. His best friend had to flee Austin because he's under legal trouble. AB and Ethan Klein's careers have cratered and they're hated by everybody. Like, we're about to elect the mayor of New York City. Like, yes, we're fighting the fucking White House. So, and you know what I mean? So it's a little bit more difficult than whatever they're like. Who are their ops? Who are Asmongold's ops? Yeah, we saw this already. Sisyphus, that looks cool. What happened to talking about Dan Clancy about LSF? Oh, I didn't get the chance. The cleaning lady, soap, the shower, teeth brushing products. What did Lug do? Oh God, Ludwig is such a fucking dipshit, dude. What an actual moron. I think one of the things that I've learned is that a lot of like influencers, they never have negative interactions with the internet. Like some of the biggest ones, like they've never had like negative interactions because they're, you know, they're corporate friendly and they're focused on building up like, you know, parasocial fans. So they never really have negative like criticism or anything. Like, but if you're in politics, you have opponents that are against what you're trying to do. And so they're dedicated ops. So if you come up and say, I'm a socialist, you have millions of dedicated ops right off the bat. So if you're going to be a successful political creator, you have to know how to handle that shit. Okay, you have to know right away how to handle that shit. And Ludwig just, the moment he gets any kind of energy his way, he folds like a cheap lawn chair. Bank chief says U.S. forum collapses ring alarm bells. The collapse of 2 U.S. companies could be a sign of wider problems in the financial systems, and alarm bells were ringing. Andrew Bailey told a House of Lords committee that it was important to take the failure of car parts supplier First Brands, a subprime car lender Tricolor, very seriously. Okay, well. Subprime car loans. What did he do though? Oh, somebody link it to me. Somebody fucking link it to me. I think one of the things that's funniest about being me, just in general, is how amazing and perfect my life is compared to all these other people. And the problems that I have are 100% of my own making. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm having any problems, it's because I wasn't that thoughtful as a friend. You know what I mean? Or a partner, you know, where I need to improve. But I'm like at the top of the pyramid. I am at the top of the self-actualization pyramid. I'm trying to make the world a better place. You know, I have friends. I have loving family. I have a successful, you know, career. I'm very lucky in love. Everything about my life is incredibly fucking amazing. Kelly86 is now a member of the Order of Romeo. Bernie Sanders is on the Dylan Show. Resembles Platner. Is a brain dead. He's an op. He won't even disavow his literal Nazi tattoo. Yes, he did. He disavowed it, but yes, he is brain dead. No, he's not an op. He's an American. But I feel the same way about the tattoo. What a fucking moron.
Do I think Hassan shocks his dog? I have no fucking clue.
Any advice on how to make friends? I don't have anybody and I've been isolated this whole month. Well, the first thing is I would suggest you focus on making sure you have clean clothes, good hygiene. Maybe get a nice and, you know, maybe get a, you know, nice haircut. And then I would look for like hobbies or interests you have and look for groups and meetups that are intended to be places where people meet new people. Like legitimately, I would suggest that. I've made a lot of friends. Like back in the day, I made a bunch of friends just showing up at a card store and playing Magic. All right, let's watch this fucking... Let's watch this. What is going on with Ludwig? Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on with Ludwig. I didn't see him at TwitchCon. I guess he doesn't go to that anymore.
We have Insanity Jacob who said, R.I.P. Hassan had to make you stop posting, which is something that I have had follow me for some time now, and I wanted to talk about. Jellywig likes to talk about drama again. Let's talk about some shocking news that has happened on Twitch. Talking drama if it isn't Hassan, blah, 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 blah. Okay, a lot of people don't like when you talk about anything that isn't Hassan, right? It is, you're not allowed to talk about Emiru in until you talk about Hassan first. Okay, you have to have your appetizer before the entree. I don't know. I think a lot of people's lives live through the lens of Hassan, and then you can talk about something else afterwards. Now, I wanted to talk about that because this comes from a video that I uploaded almost 2 years ago. I think it was end of February 2024. This is the reason why this happened. All right, I uploaded this video called Huge Streaming Drama. Now, the reason I uploaded this video is because it was February 27th. I had a sponsor and I wanted to make a lot of money. So I uploaded a video that talked about really not much. It was a filler video. But Hassan saying that streaming is harder than a 9 to 5. I poked fun at Hassan, and then I went on to do a sponsored ad read. I forget for
That's not what he said. Of course, right off the bat, he's mischaracterizing what Hassan said. Hassan said that it was socially draining in a way that is people that are working 9 to 5s don't understand, or something like that. Bad take, bad clip. I mean, here, I will say this. When I'm done streaming, I like to sit alone for a half hour. And it's very hard for other people to understand that. When I finish streaming, I like to sit alone for a half an hour because you've been bombarded by thousands of people for hours and your brain is just fuzzy. You just need to relax, drink some water, and not be talked at for a minute. When I got off work, I wasn't like that. Okay, when I was working road construction, I didn't feel that way, but I was still fucking bone tired, and I would rather be being a streamer than any job I've ever had, bar none. That being said, there are downsides that come with every single job. Okay, and one of them is you don't feel as social when you stream a lot because it tends to make you feel a little overstimulated socially. Another pretty large creator, Maximilian Dude, said the exact same thing about being socially drained after a stream a week ago. Not a single person in his chat shit on him. Weird, huh? Do you have that clip?
And then filled up some bullshit, called it a day, made some money. Easy gig until Hassan reacted to it on stream. And then the video got a bit brigaded by Hassan fans who are upset, and the sponsors not so happy these days. I don't know if you know this. When Hassan comes up for sponsored deliverables. So I took it down. All right. I uploaded the sponsor at a later date, and then I re-uploaded the video. But because
Queen of the Internet, Casey Tron says, Ludwig just doing his normal fence-sitting bullshit. What I find interesting is he keeps trying to distance himself from Drama Slop. But here he is doing Drama Slop by vaguely shitting out a song. Because Drama Slop is easy content. I'm doing it right now. People will come in here and they will say, what does Mike think about Elwig talking about Hassan? Like, it's easy content and it draws people in. So, of course we do it. Now, when I do my Drama Slop, I try to maintain my values and do it from a left-wing perspective. Other creators are, they're just focused on making as much money as they can, and they don't give a fuck, and that's that.
I inserted myself into some shit that has been with me for 18 months. Bitch move? Maybe, but I also don't care to die on the hill. I don't think I was like making a poignant statement about how I disagree with Hassan's politics. I think it was the equivalent of, haha, Hassan said 9-to-5s are easier than streaming. Anyway, check out this sponsor. So it's not like a moral hill that I was here to die on. It was, hey, I don't want to deal with the brigading from Hassan fans. I'm here to do this for a paycheck, so let me delete it. Was it the right move to make? Probably not, but it's the move I made at the time. It is what it is. I'm not that hung up on it. That was 18 months ago. And so, because of that, again, 18 months ago, I had dealt with people who now thought that, hey, Hassan messaged me, he made the boss call, I had to take down the video. That's not what happened. You can believe me or not believe me, I really don't care, but I swear on my mother's life, who I love more dearly than any human on this earth, that Hassan has never asked me to take down a video, and I did not do that because he asked me to. It just never happened, right? It's just
also the idea that Hassan fans brigade you is the biggest fucking lie I've ever seen. That is the biggest fucking lie I've ever seen. Hassan fans do not brigade anybody. That's just not true. You go along with some fucking narrative being spun up by Destiny. You go along with it, and Hassan pushes back and goes, "What the fuck, man? I didn't say that. Why are you spreading these attacks against me?" And then you're like, I'm being brigaded by Hassan fans. No, people just disagreed with you, and you have overlap. He's doing this stream because he doesn't want to be brigaded by H3 and Destiny fans, not the other way around. He's so fake. Yeah, Hassan fans brigading you is not a thing.
It didn't happen on everything. You don't have to believe me. I don't care. That just is the fact. I think a lot of people are under the impression that Hassan operates a cabal of LA streamers and is an all-powerful being.
I wish he did. I wish he fucking did. I wish Hassan did that. I wish Hassan was like, yo, I'm going to foster a bunch of LA-based streamers that are my friends. I wish he fucking did that. He just chills and he makes his content.
And that's why people don't speak out. I don't know where this delusion comes from. The culture war was won by the right-wingers in the November election of 2024. It is more popular to hate on Hassan than to stand by him. But for some reason, I feel like people are under the impression that the inverse is true. It's just not true. It's just not true. If you don't believe me.
And by the way, chat, I love this because Ludwig is like saying, Hassan lost the culture war. It's not good for you to stand with Hassan. In fact, it's good for you to go against Hassan. And then he proceeds to go against Hassan, showing that he is showing you that he has absolutely no values whatsoever, and he only chases what is momentarily popular so he can get a paycheck. Like, that's very unlikable, right? Like, am I the only person who thinks that's profoundly unlikable and slimy? Like, what are we doing here? What are we fucking doing here?
watch Ninja stream and he goes, check this out, shock dog. Bleh.
5 big years.
And it's the most viral thing he has done in the past like 3 years. Like, what are we talking about here? We're acting like it's popular to defend Hassan or some shit. All right. And I don't understand why. Now, coming clean politically, I don't know if you guys know much about me.
I don't know if you know this, Ludwig, but it's called a political hit job. It's called, there is a right-wing cabal of people that are trying to silence us for having political views that go against the interests of the capitalist class and in favor of regular people. So they do everything they can to boost attacks against us, dumb fuck. God, imagine being this fucking privileged. Holy shit.
I share probably a decent amount of politics with Hassan. Not everything. I'm not a socialist. I like making money. I'm a fucking CEO here. But, you know, some other maybe more social issues, sure. I'm also not even friends with Hassan. Legitimately, I'm not. He's not someone that I invite to like my birthday or things like that. He's someone I've done streams with, and I think they were fun. He's a streamer friend, is the group I call. But we're not boys. My boys are fucking Slime, Aiden, Nick, the people that I hang out with actually on a week-to-week basis. When I retire, I will never speak to 95% of the streamers I collab with again. Hassan is part of that group. That's a fact. This is just the reality of life, okay? Connor, I'm an actual friend with. Connor, I would actually speak with after. But most streamers, I wouldn't. It's just true. They wouldn't go to my funeral. I wouldn't go to their funeral. We would.
That is such a weird, like in the context of like Charlie Kirk getting assassinated, death threats that Hassan gets, the psychotic freaks, like to say you would go to his funeral is fucking crazy, man. That's such a weird thing to say. I don't know about you, chat. This is some psychotic transactional shit. This is psychotic transactional shit. Now I have plenty of streamer friends that I would I have plenty of people that are streamers who I have not been mean to, right? Who I hate. But I would never be fake nice to someone I didn't like, right? If I'm nice to someone, it's because I actually like them. Now, are they my best friends? No. I wouldn't say, like, I wouldn't say I would go to their funeral. Like, what the fuck? And I know Hassan has spoken about Ludwig as if they're, you know, friends and at least friendly acquaintances. You know, they're part of the circle. You have a social circle, right, chat? And there's people that you're very close to, or then there's people that are friends of your friends. And you have a good vibe with them, but you don't like hang out. You're not like close. Like, this is a weird thing to say, dude.
Never speak again. The same thing that you would experience if you ever worked like a job and then retired from said job or moved on to a different job. So anyway, this is the reality. So back to the first question, why don't I upload on Mogul Mail? Why don't I do it? And if you followed me, if you're actually a fan of me, you know the reason. You know the reason. In fact, if you look, it's 2023, all right? This is the peak uploads for Mogul Mail. Every single one of these little dots here is an upload, all right? And if it says a number, that's, you know, 3 uploads. 1 upload, 2 uploads, 5 uploads, 2 uploads. I uploaded something like 70 times in 2023, okay? 2024 comes around. I still uploaded a little bit, but I have the amount of uploads. I uploaded maybe 35 somethings, okay? And then this year, I've uploaded 1 video. I've uploaded 1 video, and I'm telling you right now, I'm never going to upload a video again. I've thought about it. I've almost cracked here and there, but after having some like internal reflection, I'm never gonna upload a video on Mogul Mail again. Now, why? Is it because I am shackled by Hassan? Well, no. Even the video that you might be referencing that I took down where I mentioned Hassan in February was months before I stopped uploading. I uploaded videos after that. So that doesn't really make, why would I upload dozens and then stop?
Who needs opposite to have friends who stream? That's just weird, man. And then he okay, this isn't the full video. Sorry, chat. Like, I would go to a funeral of people that I haven't seen in years who I had a working relationship with. Like, what the fuck? Like, Ludwig's like, god damn, dude. Like, I think he's kind of a sociopath. Like, it kind of feels like the mask slipped a little bit. Like, that's crazy comments. What the fuck? I know he shit on him more.
On Shock's dog, I have no fucking clue. I think he lied about having a shock collar. I think he 100% had a shock.
Why would you say this? Remember what I said about, remember that post I made about whenever these like negative things, like slander campaigns, you find out who your friends are and you find out who your enemies are. And like, whenever this happens, do you know how I feel about it? I feel absolutely fine about it. Like, we all know about the other leftist streamers that stream in the morning, like, are not my friends, right? Like, we all know that, because it's not because I haven't tried, right? It's because they have gone after me. You know what I mean? It's nobody's confused, right? Like, there's a reason why I don't like collab or mention them at all. It's because they go after me. They're trying to deplatform me. Like, we know who are my friends are, right? And we know who aren't. But I don't pretend to be their friend. And I think it's weird to pretend to be their friend. And I've always been super helpful, super kind, super welcoming, super asked for collabs, said, hey, you want to hang out? Hey, let me grab dinner with you. Hey, you want to do this? Like, I am very generous. Anytime I see a left winger on here, I try to help them without expecting anything back. But there is an industry of people that like when you shit on Mike for PA. So if you shit on me, you can get yourself a small boost. But when I see it, and if I see it's unfair, well, then I'm done with that person, because I don't want to have that kind of lack of safety in my life. I really hope you guys know who I'm talking about. They have it out for me. They have stalkers of mine as VIPs and mods. I mean, one of them's live right now. They have literal stalkers of mine as VIPs and mods. So, like, it is what it is. Like, what do you want me to say? Hopefully not, or struggle 8. Yeah, I don't mention the person's name because that's fucking gross. Like, it's fucking gross. Zyron Blue, thank you for the tier 1. I mean, people that try to cancel Hassan, try to cancel Austin Show, try to cancel me. Guys, they're not our friends, and you shouldn't watch them. Please don't. Please don't. Because every time I see one of you in their chats, it makes me feel really bad. It's like, why do you have this mod that threatened to kill me? Why do you have a VIP of someone who threatened to kill me? Like, crazy. Why do you have someone who stalked my mom as a recommendation in your fucking Discord? That's fucking weird. KTA 619, thanks for the tier 1.
I had a shock collar based off what's on my For You page. Maybe I'm getting psyoped. He's adamant that he hasn't shocked her, but that 100% is a shock collar. I feel like that shit is 100% a shock collar.
They literally banned me. I knew their bitch ass wasn't driving with yours, but oh yeah, they're trying to deplatform me. You know who it is. I mean, you guys have figured it out. A lot of chatters have figured it out. They've been trying to get me deplatformed. I think they think they'll become the new big leftist streamer if, like, they get me deplatformed. You know who it is. You know who it is.
But I got no clue.
And, like, this kind of behavior is fucking weird. Ludwig, when his friend is accused of being a terrorist who supports rape and should be deported. Ludwig, when people accuse his friend of abusing his dog. By the way, there's no evidence at all that this happened. It's crazy that Lud also talks about Destiny and how the Adpocalypse shit was fake and he was harassed for calling it fake, but can't recognize it's just the same exact thing, but about a shock collar. The shock collar doesn't exist. Why don't you say who it is? Because I don't want to say their name on my show ever again. Like, when you find out that people have this weird hostility towards you and you've been nothing but kind to them for years, and you're like, what the fuck? Not one fucking mean word from you to them, and they're trying to get you deplatformed. That's fucking crazy. Guys, we know who it is, right? Come on. Oh, speaking of Lance, I just was in a video of his. Lance and I have had our fights over the years. Lance from the serves. I think that we're he just put out a video about Asmongold, and as part of, like, it's called Asmongold, the biggest influencer on the internet. And I'm in there. Mike from PA, I'm in there. So that was a nice gesture of his. I'm literally unemployed, but I'm not unemployed enough to know who you're talking about. You know who I am talking about. You just don't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it either, but it is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, somebody tells you, hey, this group of streamers really want you deplatformed, and they're slandering you all the time. That's fucking crazy. Like, what can you say? Like, I only know Denims in the morning. Yeah, I love Denims. Denims is a good friend of mine. We just hung out last night. I would definitely watch Denims in the morning if I'm not live. That's all I would say. And I think there should be more non-white male streamers in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, straight white male streamers. That's probably not the vibe, right? It's pretty weird to, like, backstab people. Fucking weirdo. Are we talking about the Argentinian Australian? No, Bad Empanada didn't try to get me deplatformed as far as I know. He just thinks I'm a liberal, which is, you know, totally legit. So I think that was literally looking for a reason to ban me because he knows I'm in your chat every day. He was getting rid of the Mike supporters because he knew he'd tell you he's talking shit about you. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Now, in my defense, I'm half asleep. Yeah, they like stalkers and weird creeps who threaten to kill me as mods in their chat. And like to stalk and harass Vio as well. Fucking weirdos. Some of his mods mod for other leftist streamers. Yeah, I'm kind of like disconnecting from anybody that's with that circle. Like I you know, it's one thing to like not like me, which is totally fine. You could just be like, I don't like Mike's content or I disagree with his takes. That's totally fine. To like try to like harass my partner, do a cabal to try to figure out a way to deplatform me. That's fucking beyond the pale weird. And then be fake to my face. That's another thing that's fucking weird, man. You're a weird guy. And I can't wait for you know, I'll see you, man. I'll see you out there. Speculating puts a target on innocent people. I think most people figured it out. Sam Cedar is a good guy. I love Sam Cedar. What do you mean? Sam Cedar? Why does Bad Empanada hallucinate stuff you and Hassan say? I love this guy when I knew he'd spent 20 years in the U.S. military as a machine gunner mowing down random brown people for daring to exist in their own countries, but I have to draw the line at a Nazi tattoo. Huh? Vio is a VO-tuber? Vio is great. We love Vio. I can't believe Pokimane would do that too. A genocide I could forgive, but I draw the line at racism. Huh? Bad Empanada is just malding because he went against me and Hassan because we think that we should do electoral politics in America to make Americans' life better and America's war machine pull back. China overtakes US as Germany's top trading partner. The white Greek man from the settler colony of Australia who moved to the settler colony of Argentina somehow thinks he's not part of the labor aristocracy. Of course he's part of the labor aristocracy, but if he can point his fingers at someone else, then he gets to enjoy the imperial super profits. MAGA protester falls flat on his face twice during scuffle. Oh no. I don't know much about Hutch, but I know people don't like him. So if it's Hutch, no surprise there. No, it's not Hutch. Hutch and I are open enemies and have been for a long time. Hutch at least stabs me from the front. You know what I mean? He's not a bitch-made loser that conspires behind your back. You know what I mean? He's not a bitch-made loser that conspires behind your back. At least Hutch has the, you know, wherewithal to stab me in the front. You know what I mean? Like, goddamn. If you haven't figured it out by now, I don't think you have very good ability to think things through. Wow, I'm so relieved I was banned from that person's chat for no reason one day. Now you probably defended me against false accusations of anti-Semitism or racism or whatever the fuck they were trying to spread. You were probably like, what? Mike is a good person. Why are you guys trying to get him deplatformed? Why are you working with Ethan Klein so much? Mike, why are we unwilling to tolerate any criticism of Hassan? He's not an unfallible God King. It makes us look bad. I think you guys are actually just in a fucking delusional bubble of stupidity. I think you're actually mentally ill if you think that I do not criticize Hassan all the time or that Hassan doesn't tolerate criticism. What we don't tolerate is like saying somebody because of their race is a bad person. What we don't tolerate is saying all veterans should be thrown out of the left-wing movement. Everybody who's ever had a bad take should never be allowed to change. That's what we disagree with. You know, and also saying that, you know, somebody's bad because they're a white man as a white man is white savior shit. That's fucking weird behavior. Did you carry his infantile disorder rant yesterday? Yes, exactly. I've never heard you criticize Hassan. I criticized the shit out of Hassan on the entire election season when I was the only one saying Kamala Harris is going to lose badly and everybody else was listening to Edigermentum. I criticized Hassan extensively because he kept bringing up Edigermentum's totally unqualified ass. In fact, so much so that people were getting in trouble for saying my take so much in Hassan's chat. And then I disagreed with him about Gretchen Whitmer. I disagreed with him about Andy Bashir. Like, I was doing nothing but criticizing them during the November election cycle. Struggle 8 is a really good stream. I really, you know, Denims is a close friend of mine. Caroline's a friend of mine. Hassan's a friend of mine. Like, obviously, if you think I like someone, I probably like them. I'm not fake like that. I don't pretend to, you know, like someone. I don't steal their entire fucking flow. I don't copy everything they do and then work to deplatform them. Like, that is crazy thing. That's a crazy thing to do. Struggle Force seems like cool guys, but they're veterans and they ate a lot of shit from those same people that are trashing me because they're veterans. They used to have a show called Left Flank Vets, but they got harassed by these people so much that they were ashamed. So I'm tired of those fucking people. I fully agree, but don't apply that to Platner. Yeah, I by the way, I'm not a Platner super fan or by any means. I just want anti-APAC candidates to win. It's not complicated. I supported Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush because I didn't want APAC candidates to win. I am, you know, I supported Graham Platner because he ran as a pro-Palestinian candidate who is anti-APAC. I want to break America's political class's entwinement with Israel so that the genocide stops. That's my #1 priority. And if Graham Platner can help me do that, then I will consider working with him. But I'm not a super fan, and I don't want him to be president of the United States. But if it's him or some fucking Zionist, if he's going to have a good position on Israel, then that's worth considering. Now, I have a big problem with this fucking dumbass Nazi tattoo and some other takes he has. But my #1 issue is Israel. If your #1 issue isn't stopping APAC, then I don't know what the fuck you're even doing here. And we have 230 days. We could try to find someone else till then. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, if you think that that means I'm a Platner like apologizer, then you're just, again, you're part of that group of people that are mentally ill and you need help. We should probably not hang anymore. And I will say, like, personally, I'm going to be keeping track of that streamer's chat and just seeing the people that are like super into like shitting on me. I'm going to like, I'm probably going to start banning you people. Like, I want criticism, but I don't want deplatforming attempts being done on me. Like, if I fuck up, I want to apologize and I want to be criticized because I want to make myself better. It's a learning process. I learn from you, you learn from me, we get better together. But if your plan is to like work with the Nazis to get me deplatformed, then I'm not going to fuck around anymore. If you're going to harass Vio off of totally made up shit because she's a small streamer, I'm not going to fuck with you anymore. When you spread lies about Vio and her artist to your communities without ever reaching out or asking us what's going on, I'm fucking done with you. I'm not going to tolerate that. If you're going to be fucking losers sitting alone in your Airbnb trashing other leftists, I'm done with you. I don't do that shit. Do you think we do that? Do you think I sit around trashing other leftists in private? Absolutely fucking not. And I think if you're that type of person, I don't want anything to do with you. And if this is not the type of person you are, reach out and apologize by the end of today. And if you don't, I'm going to proceed. Are we unfollowing the stock guy? Actually, funnily enough, I did talk to the stock guy. And apparently he said that some years ago, I said to the chat that I could trade better than him, that I could out trade him. So we had a long conversation. It was very funny. And it turned out that he was basically saying, well, what you should do is do a diversified, exchange traded fund with your main investments, which is what he does. And then he only does some trades for fun. And I was like, well, yeah, of course. That's what I argue for. Struggle Force said that the takeaway should be that we need to do the work with the organizations necessary so we don't end up in this situation, so we have better vetted candidates and people available to step up in situations like this. Here's the thing about politics. You build houses with crooked lumber. Every single human being flawed. Every single one of us has fucked up. Every single one of us makes mistakes. Every single one of us has parts of our past we're not proud of. And if you don't, well, congratulations on being a red diaper baby birthed into the world by Karl Marx, okay? But everyone else here was a piece of shit at some point, or made a mistake, or did something they regret. Now, I'm not here to say that those behaviors were okay. They aren't okay. But I want you to know that this is a place where you can learn and you can heal, and then hopefully you will go back and not just apologize to feel good about yourself, but go back and repair the damage that you've done, Every critique is an opportunity. Well, I mean, it depends on the intent, right, Jay Marianne? Like, if the intent is to harm someone because you're ambitious to replace them, like you want to be the biggest leftist streamer in the morning, and you see the best plan to do that is to deplatform Mike, well, then that's a little bit different. Saying, hey, Mike, I think your take on this is wrong. Those are a little bit different. And it's like, it's funny that people think that I don't have multiple friends Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so funny that they think that what they say is not known. Of course it's known. Of course we know. I have chosen not to go after you because I was hoping I was wrong. I've chosen not to do confrontations with you because I was hoping I was wrong and misinformed. You know what I mean? But at a certain point, you can only have so many stalkers in your fucking VIP and mods threatening to harass me and Vio wherever we go before it's like, oh, it's you. Oh, it's you, actually. You're okay. Not only are you okay with that, it's not that you didn't see it happening. You endorse it. You're letting it happen in front of your chatters because you support that. Not everyone is privy to online drama. I just think that there's too many white males in the morning category. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to be watching. Like, listen, I can't change who I am, so I hope you keep, you know, hanging out with me. You know, when I'm not live in the morning, you should probably be watching Denims, right? Idpool though, that's the fun. I'm doing it in reverse, Tom. Weeping Tom. It's called jokes. It's called jokes. You know, I'm just doing what they're doing in reverse. I tend to watch. Who? Never heard of them. That's such a shit lib thing to say. Yeah, that's what's funny about it. What did you go to? Oh no, you should watch Yagopnik. You should watch Yagopnik. Yagopnik's a cool guy. All right, let's keep going. And I'm happy to talk about this more. You know, I'm happy to talk about this more in the future. We'll see how it goes. I did not know there are any other big leftist streamers in the morning. Yeah. I watch you and Hassan and Denims on the weekend. That's a pretty good cycle. Obviously, you should be watching Vio as well. I follow you because you're genuinely a good human being with well-informed takes. One time you were even kind of funny by accident and blew the air out of my nose. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Taiwan's KMT elected a pro-China party leader. Yeah, I saw that. The KMT are so funny. Deplatforming you won't make those certain streamers more knowledgeable about economy, law, politics. Wait a minute. You're not just going to go from the regurgitated Twitter takes? Graham never says shit when Mike is brought up in chat. It's cordial, unless it's behind the scenes drama. I think you are misunderstanding what I'm saying. I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. Hey, did you know Yugo is in China and met with Ben Norton? That's fucking cool. How deep is leftist Twitch? Very shallow. There's not that many streamers that I would recommend, to be honest. There's a lot of opportunity. If you are a knowledgeable, like, organizer or politician or journalist, or you have any kind of, like, you know, you're a history or philosophy student or professor, there's a lot of opportunity here in leftist Twitch. I want you to start your own stream. Like, especially if you're a fan of mine, I want you to start your own stream. You know, Ollie's cool as hell. Oh, the former DGGer who says Hassan saying Swagapino is the same as saying the N-word. Former DGG? As far as I know, they're still friendly with all those DGG people. But yeah, I would definitely not recommend DGGers who are famous because they were, like, harassing Hassan about saying cracker. I would not recommend those people as someone to watch. And who did who ran the DGG Airbnb for years. I don't recommend that streamer, no. Maple Takes is cool. The Brain Domain is cool. The what? The DGG Airbnb at TwitchCon. So, like, all the big DGG streamers would get together and they had an Airbnb. The person who ran that should probably not be, you know, and who's, you know, tried to call Hassan racist for the cracker thing. Please, Northern Lion is cool as hell. I love the Majority Report. Majority Report's great. Imagine being a DGGer and going to a Twitch event, the Brass Neck. I mean, well, it was years ago, right? You were sponsored by Jacobin. Do you still recommend them? Of course I do. Of course I do. Do people not know your connection to Majority? I don't know if they know or not. Are people going insane these days? Yes. I saw your tweet where people were somehow trying to twist that you left Jewish victims of the Holocaust out on purpose. People make up shit. It's sad. Yes, I said death camps and concentration camps, which is primarily the victims were Jews, but they weren't the only Jews, right? Like, Nazis also targeted Roma people, the disabled, homosexuals, transgender people. They targeted all sorts, you know, ethnic minorities. They destroyed Polish intellectuals. Like, they killed black people. The point was to have that Nazi tattoo and they also killed liberals. The point is to have a Nazi tattoo on your chest is to declare war on pretty much every group that makes up the left. You know, and yes, the Jews were the main target of the Holocaust, but they were not the only target, right? Obviously not. Do you have to remind you to have a Roma activist? Definitely. And in fact, I think the way that things like the destruction of the Roma people of the Holocaust have been receded in importance is a problem with the way that we talk about the Holocaust. It wasn't just to destroy Jewish people. It was for racial hygiene, according to the Nazis. They were trying to kill anybody who might undermine the so-called Aryan race. It wasn't just about Jewish people. Even more insane, they were calling you anti-Semitic for being upset over a Totenkopf when they were not. Insane behavior. Yes, exactly. I'm upset that Graham Platner had the Totenkopf tattoo and it hadn't been covered up or removed. So that means that I'm anti-Semitic. You know, the Holocaust, I really do recommend people study World War II.
Political leadership in China is meeting to outline the country's next
Let's get back into politics, chat.
five-year plan. The closed-door gathering known as the Fourth Plenum will last 5 days. The new plan is expected to focus on economic security and technological innovation. There are also expectations of a major shakeup within President Xi Jinping's inner circle. The meeting comes at a time of heightened trade tensions between Washington and Beijing, and also ahead of a possible meeting between Xi and U.S. President Donald Trump. Well, despite growth in industrial production and international trade, China's economic growth has slowed to its lowest point this year, mainly due to weak retail sales. Katrina Yu has this update.
I'm at a market in central Beijing, and here people are looking for the best deals when it comes to buying their everyday groceries. And that's because China's economic growth has been slowing. It slowed to its weakest pace in the third quarter of this year, according to the latest official data. Now, exports and global demand for Chinese goods has been strong, despite U.S. tariffs and trade tensions with Washington. But consumer spending since the COVID-19 pandemic remains low. Many will be looking to the Fourth Plenum, a major political meeting that takes place this week for signs of an economic boost. This high-stakes gathering will chart China's course for the next 5 years and have repercussions around the world. Analysts say a major focus will be on innovation and advanced technologies.
It's less about the growth, but more about the internal transformation in terms of treating high tech as even more of a short-term and a long-term priority. That means resources will be allocated more to the high tech sector, but they don't generate GDP and jobs in the short term.
We could also see more political purges. 9 top military officials were expelled on Friday. Some experts say Chinese leader Xi Jinping is on a mission to cut out corrupt or disloyal figures in his government. But for shoppers here, what matters most is what the government might do to improve their cash flow and their future. And on that front, we're expecting more changes to social welfare, including benefits for families and the elderly. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
Andy Mock, you're a professor at the Beijing Foreign Studies University and senior research fellow at Center for China and Globalization. You're joining us from Beijing this hour. Thanks for your time. Why does this meeting matter, and what will you be looking out for?
Well, thank you for having me today. So I think to really understand the significance of the 15th five-year plan, we really have to understand China's long-term goals. And it's become a bit of a platitude to say that China plans in decades and not years. But we really do have to look at 2 key dates that sound very far off in the future, 2035 and 2049, to really understand the importance of the next five-year plan. So 2049 is when China has set a goal of becoming a modern socialist power. And what this means in plain English is that its global position will be commensurate with its civilizational weight. And 2035 is when China aims to become achieve what it calls basic modernization. And again, in plain English, all that means is to have the complete toolkit to reach the goal of 2049. So when we look at this upcoming 15th year plan, it will advance these objectives of having a complete toolkit by 2035. So the next 2 5-year plans, the 15th and the 16th, are very, very important to see China's achievement of global competitiveness with technology, continued reform of its economic sector, modernization of government, advances in social organization across all of these sectors.
I mean, there are some rare earth metals where China has completely cornered the market, like 99.9%. Yes, there are some rare earth metals where they're down at like 80-something%, but there are some rare earth metals where China has 99% supply. Like there is no. I've been watching a lot of World War II content lately. I've been doing research and you know, looking into it more, and it is so striking how similar China is to the position of the United States at the beginning of World War II, and how similar the United States is to Imperial Japan. It is absolutely like Americans are completely delusional and aggressive, just like the Imperial Japanese were. And while we may have a larger standing military right now, our ability to like replace losses and, you know, at our industrial capacity is absolutely minuscule compared to China. And it's just madness to try to go into a war with them.
Not just technology that we think of traditional IT, artificial intelligence, but in agriculture as well, healthcare, that these are major areas that I'm certainly going to be keeping an eye on when we see the actual 5-year plan released.
There certainly, though, are domestic challenges at this time. I mean, there's a trade war that's intensified ever since Trump took office. There are also domestic problems that are dragging down growth. How are these domestic issues going to be addressed?
Well, I think, first of all, you know, there's a lot of I think in the Western world, especially among Western investors, that we will see some sort of major transformation in consumption. And I think those hopes to a degree might be misplaced in that I think the Chinese view is that industrial transformation has to be the priority. Now, this doesn't mean consumption doesn't matter, but the consumption as is typically defined by the West and in some sense normalized by the United States as what some would consider overconsumption is certainly, I don't think, in the cards for China. That being said, of course, China's still dealing with the legacy of the real estate boom and subsequent bust. I think
Okay, he's covered the tattoo, chat.
Trade war launched by the United States actually has turned out to be far less impactful than many had feared. We only need to look at China's export growth over the last year or so. Industrial production, of course, in the latest quarter, I think surprised many analysts in a positive way. So certainly there are challenges, demographic, the aging population, youth unemployment. I think these are all certainly on the government's radar screen. But I think the government's conclusion has been its strategy and its implementation of that strategy has largely been a success. And we will see really a doubling down of its priorities rather than any dramatic shift going forward.
Okay, Andy Mock, you're joining us from Beijing this hour. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Don't miss out to get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert
Washington play Cold War style
share.
rhetoric when discussing China, yet demonstrate little appetite to take on the difficult and expensive tasks, such as refurbishing the defense industrial base and shoring up key supply chains. The U.S. will be left pursuing what might be called a reverse Roosevelt, speaking loudly about American power while wielding an ever smaller stick. While Xi has been disciplined and methodical in his efforts. I mean, that's the communists right there. That's the Chinese communists. They are disciplined, they are methodical, and they are heavily pragmatic. Like, that's it. Like, they're like, we need to do this, and we're going to take steps to get from X to Y. Everything is the long march. That is the cultural touchstone of the Communist Party of China, is the long march. And so that is what they're doing. Whereas like Americans are the culture of instant gratification. That's why we have so many anarchists in the American left. Because the American left believes that we're going to do a cultural, social, and economic revolution all at once, spontaneously, with no planning, no hierarchy. It's all going to be overturned instantly, just like when you scroll to the next TikTok, okay? Whereas the Chinese, they learned that it doesn't work. You see, they had to have millions of people die, and they were like, oh, we're not going to do everything instantly. We have to build up slowly. Society takes a lot of effort to transform. And here's the thing. In 50 years, who's going to seem like the people that were the impatient? Who's going to seem like the people that were irresponsible? Who's going to look like the people that we're willing to compromise too much. It's not going to be the Marxist-Leninists. It's not going to be the Communist Party of China, because they're going to have something to show for it. And everybody who says, nah, everything done right now is going to have fucking nothing, because that's not how the world works. They're going to have, you know, an actual country, an actual society that's not just built on profit. What the fuck are we going to have? The U.S. cannot avoid importing minerals. Prisman CEO says the U.S. cannot avoid importing metals like copper and aluminum. The production of aluminum in the U.S. satisfies only 35% of local demand. The head of the Italian cable maker says it will probably take 20 years and billions of dollars in investment to get the capacity to be self-sufficient in aluminum, he says. Good luck.
So it's the first debate of the general election, and everybody has a card here. So when a phrase or something is mentioned, cross that out on your card, and then whoever gets a bingo gets a really cool tote.
And if we have a health pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death?
COVID, if you have it on the bingo.
Yeah. Mr. Mamdani, the president calls me, quote, my little communist. Mr. Sleeman.
Oh, communist.
Hi, my name is Jay Schaffner. I'm one of the coordinators of Penn South for Zohran. We've been canvassing for the past 3 to 4 weeks. We thought it would be very good to get people together tonight for the first debate.
I'm being marginalized out of it.
You are marginal.
Your father, when he was governor,
The response has been overwhelmingly supportive of Zohran, all ages of people.
The definition of experience is not doing the same thing again and again and hoping for a different result. That's actually the definition of insanity. By Bill Ackman, who called
I understand that the far left has been raising taxes like the enemy. We get it. That's our city together.
Mr. Steve, terrible pitch. The big tech company that
I was a early supporter. I am fighting to make our city more equal and better for working families and working class people who are struggling again with affordability. So that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, bingo.
Only 2,000 are accepted.
Oh, we have a bingo.
Bingo is sort of, you know, what seniors do. Well, we also are involved politically. We march. We're marching on Saturday. This whole group will be marching.
I think the key is really making sure that everybody continues to push and nobody sits back thinking that it's a done deal. It's not a done deal until after the votes are counted. So we all have to get out there and do as much as we can.
This is why politicians, like actually running for a political office, is so important, because a lot of the online culture is about a certain, like, so many people are so concerned about building a friend group of people they think are cool, which, you know, I get that. I understand that. I do it too. But are you getting into a room with your elders and organizing around politics? And if the answer is, I'm not doing it enough, this is a great opportunity to do so. And that's what I admire. It's about anchoring a movement in an actual place and not just have it up here, living in the acid of your brain. So, like, it is what it is. Okay, this is actually so fucking funny. This is the Andrew Cuomo campaign.
Hello, E. de Blasio, New York City's least favorite mayor. Today, I want to introduce you to my mini-me Mamdani. Hiya! If you thought my policies were evil, you're gonna freaking hate this. Sure will, boss! In 2020, I cut $1 billion from the NYPD, which dramatically spiked crime. But I wanted to fund the police entirely! So evil, so unsafe. My mini-me also wants to cut gifted and talented school programs for kids, just like I tried. Until the backlash. There's no such thing as talent. Socialism means we're all equally dumb. Right. And he's even copying my failed rent freeze I tried on millions of units, which ended up plunging the rates of available units and making the housing crunch higher and stop new housing construction, which would actually lower rents. But I'm gonna do the same thing while doing a TikTok dance. And most evil of all, I depoliced sex work, which ended up increasing sex trafficking for women and young girls in New York City. So I'm gonna take it further by decriminalizing prostitution completely.
The most The most pathetic campaign in American history after his primary loss.
Hello, it's me.
The idea that he's running on criminalizing sex work harder. Mike, I got the scoop on his new on Platner's new tattoo. What the fuck is this tattoo? Also, they did it kind of shittily. I could still see the bone. Okay, I'm sorry, but going from a skull Totenkopf to like fucking Celtic runes and like, come on, man. Going from Nazi shit to Celtic runes? This is literally dog whistly shit. Is this your persona? Yeah. It was a massive black ball above a skull. Not much you could do with it, honestly. That's why all this new shit is a sphere of blacking it out. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It was kind of a really shitty tattoo to begin with. What's wrong with Celtic runes? There's nothing wrong with Celtic... At least, okay. Celtic runes are in and of themselves ambiguous. However, they have been used by a lot of Nazis as a dog whistle, right? So it's not that this particular tattoo is a dog whistle. It's just the context of like going from a Nazi tattoo to a Nordic rune is kind of like, really? But I'm glad he got rid of it. Nordic is not Celtic. Okay. Nordic runes, Celtic runes, they're all used as dog whistles. I should have said and. I suspect the act of getting it covered right away will appeal to a lot of... I mean, basically, I'm going to explain politics to you, chat. The tattoo came out. That was the absolute worst thing you could ever have. That's like the worst thing I could ever imagine happening to a politician. Short of like being a pedophile, having a Nazi tattoo on your chest is probably like one of the worst scandals I can imagine a politician having that you would not see coming. Okay? The fact that Graham Platner has managed to stand through this, and it looks like people are not throwing him under the bus. So he's the pro-Palestinian with the Nazi tattoo, and the libs are like, nah, we're keeping him. Like, that's crazy. So in politics, he's made it through. I unless I see some evidence that support has fallen off a cliff, you know what I mean? Like, I guess we should give it a little bit of time before we declare him through the Nazi tattoo scandal. But like, this guy's motherfucking Teflon if he pulls it off. Dem Senate candidate embraced Antifa super soldier label. The main Democratic Senate candidate, backed by Senator Bernie Sanders, wrote in 2020 that he had an Antifa super soldier label on his armor. Okay, chat. I just want to say that Graham Platner is an American. Graham Platner is a motherfucking American. And what I mean by that is completely brain dead. However, I mean, this is what my very first stream on Twitch, or excuse me, my second stream on Twitch, a stream that everybody knows, was me debating Destiny on Bernie versus Biden electability. And the thesis of my argument was that guys like Graham Platner would be much more interested in voting for Bernie Sanders than they would for Joe Biden. That was my entire thesis. That was the argument. And I was making that argument based off of the voter study group 2016 study. And in this study, they looked at the electoral views of the 2016 electorate. Okay? And they asked people a bunch of questions about policy, and then they plotted them on a political compass. All right? Left on the political compass is left-wing economically. Up is conservative socially. Down is left-wing socially. Okay? So if you are a left-wing on social policies and left-wing on economics, you would be down in the bottom left. If you're left-wing on economics but right-wing on social policies, you'll be at the top left. If you're right-wing on both, you'll be at the top right. If you are right-wing on economic policies and left-wing on social policies, you'll be on the bottom right. Okay? Libertarian, etc., etc., etc. Okay? And so the voter study group studied a shit ton of the voters, and they plotted it. Now, if you look at the 2016 electorate, what is the first thing that you're struck by? What is the first thing you're struck by? Chat, go ahead and tell me what you think. Okay, so the chatters are saying far more left than white, a lot of people at the bottom left, how far the Dems are from their base, not very many people in the middle, very left economically, no cohesive dichotomy. Even Republicans are relatively centrist on economics. Even Republicans, like the majority, like the half of the Republicans are left-wing on economics. Like half, maybe like 40%. And there's basically nobody who's far right. Like when you actually ask people about the policies, especially economically, there's almost no one there. There's only one guy, one dot. And the other thing that is very, very interesting is there are no libertarians. Libertarians basically don't exist. How much do you hear from, I'm socially left, but economically right? The other thing is the Democratic Party base is far left. And this was my argument that I had with Destiny, that basically this group, which I call smokestack voters, which are basically people that are like, I want to join a union. I think the minimum wage should be $20 an hour. I think college should be free if you want to go to that gay shit. I think that you should be able to go to, I think the doctor should be free. I think we should eat the rich, but I'm not sure about that gay shit. I don't know about that gay shit. And maybe, you know, abortion's kind of wrong. And I believe in God. Okay. That is a very large percentage of the electorate. And a lot of those guys vote for the Republicans. Oh, I also love my guns. I love my guns. There's not a lot of people going, we've got to cut taxes on the rich and get rid of Social Security and Medicare. No one thinks that except for the rich. They call those voters populist voters. So in the study, they say, okay, they have 4 ideological groups, and they said, what percentage of voters are in each ideological group? It corresponds to these squares. And who did they vote for? And one of the things you find really interesting is Donald Trump won a lot of people that are left-wing economically, but socially conservative. They call those the populist voters. I call them smokestack because I don't think it's populist. Populist refers to a person's orientation toward the establishment, not their ideology. But I call those smokestack voters. They call them populist. I think they're wrong. The reason why I call them smokestack is because they're guys I've met at steel mills. And these guys used to vote for the Democrats, okay? They used to vote for the Democrats, but now they vote for the Republicans. Now, so if you look at the category, and if you look at libertarians, only 3% of the electorate is libertarian. It basically doesn't exist. But we hear from these people constantly, but we never hear. When's the last time you saw a politician or anybody who is kind of like right-leaning socially, but very left-wing economically? This does not exist. There is nobody like this in politics anymore. And one of the things that's really interesting is the people that went from Obama to Trump or Obama to other, okay? And what you see is the largest group of swing voters were from that populist camp. Even though most of them were Romney Trump voters, the Obama Trump voter was overwhelmingly probably up here, around here. So what lost Hillary Clinton the election was people up here, because she was not left-wing economically, and she was in favor of the wars. That was my argument. Among populists who voted for Obama, Clinton did terribly. She held on to only 6 in 10 of those voters. Trump picked up 27% of those voters, and the remaining 14% didn't vote for either major party candidate. Also worth noting that Trump did surprisingly well with disaffected populist voters who didn't support Obama or Romney. More than 4 in 10 shifted to voting for Trump, while just fewer than 1 in 6 shifted to Clinton. The remaining 42% again withheld their support for a major party candidate. While this group is not a huge percentage of the electorate, in a close election, every little bit matters. There is less story about Romney voters who failed to support Trump. However, Romney to Clinton voters were predominantly liberals on the issue, suggesting they were already in line with Clinton. So, like, Clinton didn't even win over Romney voters. Romney Clinton voters were basically non-existent. And so this kind of shit, and by the way, look at some of the issues. Politics is a rigged game. Obama Trump voters more likely to agree. Obama other voters more likely to agree. Importance of Social Security and Medicare. They were more left-wing than Democrats are. Attitudes on foreign trade. They were closer to the right. They were more skeptical of it. Attitudes on gender roles. They were closer to Republicans, but still left. Pride in America, more pride in America than Democrats as a whole. That's why people like Graham Platner speak closer to that group of people. They are people who hate the rich but love the flag, whatever the fuck that means. They're just kind of downscale. You know, patriotic feeling tends to be correlated with education. The less education you have, the more patriotism is appealing to you. It's just a correlation that exists. Perception that people like me are in decline. They didn't like Muslims. They didn't like black people. They don't like immigration. But they really hate economic inequality. So you can see that these kind of voters, when they were voting on racism, they voted for Trump. A white racial bribe. You didn't create economic solidarity, and therefore they voted on nationalist, racist grounds. That's just a fact. And it shouldn't surprise you that these people defected to Trump. The median voter wants socialism, but only for white people. The median voter. I would say I disagree with you. What I would say is that the median voter perceives means testing as a way to prevent them from getting the benefit. And the less universal your program, the more that racism will work as a political argument, because they'll be like, those people are getting a whole bunch of stuff and you don't get it. They don't object to getting stuff. Look at the way they feel about Social Security and Medicare. They love it more than the Democrats do. That's free stuff. But when there's a perception that a program exists that they're not going to get, or that they're not eligible for, they're very against it. So universal programs create a constituency that will support itself and resist right-wing framing. Now, if this surprises you, that the people that flipped from Clinton to Trump had problematic takes on race, well then what the fuck, have you been paying attention? Of course they did. The question is, how do we build a coalition that fights against racism? And I have argued that by you create solidaristic universalist programs and you draw people in. So by the way, these are people who voted for Obama. Obama was called a Muslim. Obama is a black man, but they voted for Obama twice. So like, they may have problematic attitudes, but they were willing to overlook them for Obama. Isn't that interesting? Sanders supporters are notably less enthusiastic about trade deals. This was a point of contention between Clinton and Sanders, so the difference we see here makes sense. Sanders supporters were a little less enthusiastic about America and its history, and they evinced more pessimism about people like them, yet they are indistinguishable for Clinton supporters and concerns for inequality and value of government activism. So there you go. What is the expectation of the U.S. left? Do we just completely write off the MAGAs? They are still proletariat, albeit lumpen proles who've been duped and uneducated. We cannot have a sustainable post-revolutionary state without them being on board. Hell, we won't even get a revolutionary state without them. So here's the reality. If you are a person who's tired of racism and homophobia and misogyny, and you're like, God, I'm so over it, I'm with you 100,000%. But I also want you to understand that I believe that people can change. I believe that attitudes can change. And the reason why I believe it is I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've seen people change their mind on shit and become better people. So it's not just faith, it's work. I've seen those works. And what I want to know is, how do we get our foot in the door? Good afternoon, Kafka. How do we get our foot in the door? It's somebody like this man. Like, he is such a fucking idiot. But you know who else is a fucking idiot? Half of America. I mean, I'll be completely honest with you, chat. Everybody who told me they didn't know what the Totenkopf was, I thought you were kind of being an idiot. You know, I would think you were kind of being, that's kind of embarrassing. To me, it's like if somebody says, Mike, I don't know what this is. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, how do you not know what this is? But does that mean I give up on you? Does that mean I shame you? Does that mean that I think you're a lost cause just because you didn't know some fact or you had some wrong opinion? No! I go, NA education. Maybe when you were a young person, you weren't as interested in history, but now you are. You've changed. You grew up. If I turned my nose up every single time somebody didn't know shit, I'd have no one to talk to. I'd have literally no one to talk to. If I was like, I can't believe you don't know this. I can't believe you don't know how many yards of linen it takes to make a coat. You fucking uneducated idiot. You moron. Ugh. I'm so tired of these white leftists not even reading. Like, if I did that to you, then I would have no one to talk to. It's fucking weird. 20 yards. How about you stop infighting and calling him an idiot and give Platner the benefit of the doubt? Okay, first of all, let me just say this. I'm allowed to say he's a fucking idiot for having a Nazi tattoo, and I will not apologize for that. What the fuck's wrong with you? That is an authoritarian mindset that you have, by the way. It's authoritarian to say, oh, somebody made a mistake. You better not criticize them or else you'll help the enemy. That's an authoritarian mindset, bro. And that's also how you get shit fucking parties. If you want your party to get better, it should have a certain level of disagreement and critique that is tolerated so that people can improve. Putting your head in the sand is how you get fucking Kamala Harris as the nominee and you lose to Trump twice. All of you should be weirded out by the Nazi tattoo. All of you should be calling him a fucking idiot for taking so long to get it covered up. And all of you, and it's totally reasonable to expect a senator studied Nazi Germany and know its most fucking notorious symbols. Okay? This is the top political job in the legislature. You can't get any higher than fucking senator. Okay? There's only 100 of them for 350 million people. They should be expected to know this shit. Okay? And I'm gonna call him a fucking idiot, and he is an idiot. It's actually a good sign that idiots are popping up in our movement now. That's actually a good sign, because the problem with the left is it's a bunch of overeducated, upper middle class nerds like myself. There are way too many people like me. I want more boneheaded, jarhead idiots who have become disaffected with the government, with the military, with our foreign policy, who are changing their mind and saying, hey, maybe I'm a leftist. Maybe I'm an Antifa super soldier. That's fucking awesome. What did he say? He's a fucking Antifa super soldier? That's fucking awesome. I love that we now have idiots on our side. That's great. Not to meet evil communist Ben Norton in China. Here we are standing menacingly in front of one of their evil authoritarian statues. Oh, that's fucking based. ACP is onto something who they're trying to appeal to. It's just that they're appealing to them by being reactionary. Yeah, the ACP is fucking cringe. And the reason why they're cringe is because they're being too reactionary. I mean, both in their outlook, but also their politics. They're being pathetic fucking losers in that they're pandering. And people, if you're going to pander, you have to pander in a believable way. And they're not doing that. Leader of Brazil's landless workers movement warned Washington bluntly to the gringos, don't you dare enter Venezuela. We will be with you. You can count on the Brazilian people. We will be fighting with you. Brazil's MST has announced plans to organize internationalist brigades and support Venezuela if the U.S. attempts military intervention. Oh, my Lord.
A los gringos, no se atrevan a entrar en Venezuela, que todos nosotros cerraremos fileras y estaremos con ustedes. Cuenten con el pueblo brasileño, con el pueblo de Guatemala, de Uruguay, los pueblos de Latinoamérica. Estaremos con ustedes luchando hasta que el último marinero regrese a alguna tumba en su país imperial.
I think it's a bad idea to invade Venezuela. I just think it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad fucking idea. So overall, Platner, I mean, he's as flawed as you can be. He's as flawed as you could be. But the question I have to ask myself is, am I going to give, like, first of all, what is my goal with politics? My number one goal in politics is to destroy AIPAC. I have seen AIPAC as the major threat to the left for years. In fact, I asked AOC about it in person 4 years ago. Do you guys remember? I warned her that AIPAC was going to be the enemy that goes after left-wing politicians. I warned her. I saw it coming. I warned her in person. So that's my number one goal. How I feel about Platner, I gotta be honest with you, chat. I have no fucking idea what is going on with Platner. Like, he's such a fucking idiot. He's such a fucking idiot. But if the pro-Palestine movement, if he is the guy, then he's the guy. And I don't fucking know. I need to see more before I could feel like I could support him. I need to see more. Was that when Project Veritas tried to use me? Project Veritas never used me. I don't know how this myth was created. Basically, I was at a Nina Turner canvassing event. Some guy wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt got into the elevator with me when we were going in an elevator, and then we walked out. Like, that's it. That's the whole Project Veritas. And then he tried to be like, I'm from Project Veritas, and we all laughed at him. And I started yelling at him, and AOC's staff were like, just leave, just ignore the fucking guy, he's an idiot. And we all laughed at him. And then they say, are you ready for your AOC interview? And I said, yeah, sure. That's the fucking Project Veritas story. He got fucking mogged. No, he didn't get any clip. Nobody gave a shit. I laughed about it on stream, and then Destiny spun up some myth, and they started to try to find the video that had like 100 views because it was such a failure. And the entire audience that's watching it is Destiny trying to own me. But yet, nobody gave a fuck. That was the most hilarious and pathetic shit. I saw like they had to wear a Black Lives Matter shirt to try to blend in. They had to do that. That was so sad. Hassan and your nationalist American ass still telling people it's acceptable to vote for Blackwater Platner. Garbage Kotskyism at its best. I mean, I don't even think, like, it's so funny when people like try to repeat Lenin's polemics without having the context. It's so funny. You don't know enough about history to be referencing any of these thinkers. You're not intelligent enough. You don't know the context. Just be quiet. You're stupid. It's embarrassing. Like, you're just copying the form of an argument without actually knowing the context or the content of the argument. You're citing a name as if this means bad. You're a windbag. You're a fucking windbag. You don't know about anything. You cannot just look at what happened in 1917 and say, we're going to do, you know, what, oh, this is just like that. No, it's fucking not. We live in a completely different political conditions than Russia in 1917. Okay? What are you fucking talking about, man? And as far as voting, you know, oh, it's acceptable to vote for a fucking ex-Blackwater. Do you know who was in the fucking Bolsheviks? They were fucking murderers. You know who the Communist Party of China brought in fucking mass murdering generals from the nationalist side and let them switch sides. They allied with fucking warmongering warlords. Why? Because they had to in order to win. And a lot of people were rehabilitated who were evil pieces of shit who did far more than Platner ever did. So the idea that you could go, oh, some people can't be redeemed. What the fuck are you talking about, demon? And I'm not even saying he is redeemed. I'm not even saying I have endorsed him. I'm just saying your childish, moralist, inquisitorial mentality is fucking ahistorical and stupid. Don't cite Lenin. Do you know who Lenin represented in the elections? What seat he was running for? The Baltic Sea Fleet, you dumb fuck. He was the representative for the sailors. The literal imperial naval unit. You fucking don't know anything about dick. You dumb motherfucker. Shut up with your moralist bullshit. You're a fucking windbag. At least read the things before you start citing them. Now, I want to have a left-wing political party. I am the #1 advocate for a socialist party. But I'm building a house with crooked timber, okay? I do what I can with what I can. They were Bolsheviks. They had a revolutionary party. You're an unorganized reformist. You don't understand history, bro. You're unorganized. You're an unorganized poster. You think that I can conjure up a revolutionary party on my own as an individual through my words alone, you fucking idealist moron? I literally cannot. If I could, I would. If I could push the revolution button, I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it. You know, you cite Lenin, but we're not at a stage as advanced as they were. Well, the period of time that you're talking about, the socialist movement in Russia was more advanced than the socialist movement is in America today. This is what you don't understand, is it's not even on the menu in most Americans' minds. We are fighting 100 years of Red Scare propaganda, of state repression, of political irrelevance. And I'm trying to get people to question some of their fundamental beliefs. A TikTok communist told me Lenin was a liberal capitalist. Yes, there's ultras on TikTok. There's a really funny one that I watch occasionally. Gotta do a revolution in the heart of the global military superpower without anyone who has ever been involved in the military because they're imperialist scum. If I started a like revolutionary party right now, Bada Panada would want me to be killed by the CIA. Like if I was out there fighting a revolution, Bada Panada will be sending my coordinates to the fucking CIA because I'm an American, therefore I deserve to suffer. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so what are we even talking about here? You know, like, come on. Lenin advocated for revolution due to the reemergence of the Soviet councils. That's right. The reason why I'm doing bourgeois parliamentarianism is because that's where the masses are. It's where if I made a stream and I said only talking about revolution, first of all, banned instantly. #1, state repression. 2, I'll be arrested. I'll go to prison. 3, no one will be able to watch shit. No one will be educated about shit. I'll go away instantly. Now, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe my quixotic banning and prison terms would cause you all to rise up. I think you'd all grab a gun to liberate me from prison, right? You know how to like assault a prison? and you want to have a gunfight with prison guards and react in the National Guard and the state trooper response SWAT teams that come in. We're going to battle it out, and we're going to make it to our rural redoubts. Like, what are we even talking about, man? I don't even know what to say. What are we even talking about here? What are we even talking about here? Welcome, Roach from Asmongold's room. Easy. Adepanada's critique has nothing to do with parliamentarianism. He doesn't like Zohran either. What candidate does he like? I haven't seen him endorse a single person. Who does he like? I haven't seen him endorse anybody in Australia either. You know, the land of his birth. What movement is he with in Argentina? Is Empanada just a grifter? No, I don't believe in putting people in boxes like that. I think people are too complicated to be put into boxes most of the time. Okay? Asmongold and Tectone are grifters, and they believe in nothing. Okay? That's pretty simple. Someone like Empanada is too complicated to just call him a grifter. I think that he is a nihilist, and I think that he thinks the internet doesn't matter, and he's wrong on both counts. I think nihilism is weakness. It's mental weakness for people that don't have the mental, ability to reason themselves to an existentialist perspective that love is the only thing that matters because nothing matters. Being nihilistic is honestly, like, I got over that when I was 12. Like, if you're an adult and you're still wrestling with nihilism, like, grow the fuck up. That's baby shit. That's Asmongold tier intellect. BE seems to primarily care about imperialism. Many other issues he doesn't seem to give a fuck about at all. Imperialism will only worsen if American conditions worsen. That's what you guys don't seem to understand. Is that America, if our conditions worsen, our imperialism will increase because because the fascists will determine that exploitation of the third world should be increased. And they will do more fucking wars and more extractive interventions. See what's happening in Venezuela? Donald Trump is worse. Donald Trump is worse. And if we want to have an anti-imperialist politic, we need people that are anti-imperialist and anti-APAC to win. If he genuinely doesn't think the internet matters and yet still makes internet content, isn't that the definition of a grifter? Kind of. I mean, that's a good argument, man. I don't have a response to that. So much good videos, man. So much good shit to talk about. I met an acceleration at the No Kids rally. Exactly, because No Kids rally was fucking great. It was fucking great. Yes, they were following the rules. Yes, it was a bunch of libs doing what they were told. Yes, they got permits. Yes, they didn't break anything and they didn't instantly launch into a social revolution. But you know what happened? A bunch of people who in their heart know something is wrong got out on the streets and they met other human beings and they saw how powerful they were. Now, it didn't make them do, nothing happened yet, but it is a seeds were planted with millions of people. I want as many No Kings rallies to happen as possible because eventually Donald Trump is going to do something and it's going to radicalize tens of millions of people. And a lot of libs are going to the socialist organizations. I saw PSL organizers. I saw fucking commie organizers. I saw DSA organizers. I saw so many Palestinian flags. I wore a Free Palestine shirt and I was complimented all over the fucking place. When I got back to my hotel, somebody said, I like your shirt at TwitchCon. I think a lot of people think we're closer to whatever they fantasize about because you have a childish brain. You think that if you stomp your feet, you're going to get your chicken tendies. Bitch, we haven't even bred chickens yet. Okay? That's how far away we are from your chicken tendy universe. We don't even have chickens. Like, they don't exist. They haven't been bred yet. We are Cro-Magnon man chasing after a jungle bird, trying to catch it.
Responsable de haber desatado una política que llevaba a millones de venezolanos fuera y ahora entonces saca a los venezolanos a la fuerza a rajo y a patadas. Y eso no se hace. Pero el primer responsable se llama el señor, y hay que decirlo. No, Boomerang en la política. El señor Trump lleva 9 meses en el poder de este gobierno. El señor Trump gobernó antes, amigo. Sí, Póngale el primer gobierno y vea lo que pasó allí. Casi que hay guerra entre Colombia y Venezuela. Trump Le da rabia al señor Trump que yo no apoye a los norteamericanos con el ejército colombiano para invadir Venezuela. No, señor. ¿A qué estúpido colombiano se le puede ocurrir ayudar a invadir donde están sus primos, sus sobrinos, su gente colombiana, que hay 4 millones, a que los maten como en Gaza? Él es el responsable de haber desatado una política que llevaba a millones de venezolanos fuera y ahora entonces saca a los venezolanos a la fuerza a rejo y a patadas. Y eso no se hace. Pero el primer responsable se llama el señor, y hay que decirlo. No, Boomerang en la política. El señor Trump lleva 9 meses en el poder. Señor...
By the way, chat, that's exactly what... By the way, this is just my take. This is just my take. It's a take I've been saying for years and years and years, is that the immigration crisis was from sanctioning Venezuela. It was from sanctioning Cuba. We tried to destroy their economies, and they lost everything. And then so they fled for economic reasons. If you think that there's a migrant crisis, you should be against American imperialism. I've been talking about JSOC's wildly errant targeting for years and predicted that if they ever did strikes in Latin America, we would be inundated with incontrovertible proof that the US intel is dog shit and these people have no idea whom they're killing. Yeah, it looks like Colombian public media reports that a US military strike on a boat on September 15th, the second attack on a vessel by the US, was a Colombian boat that was in Colombian territorial waters. At least one of the 3 victims extrajudicially killed was lifelong Colombian fisherman Alejandro Caranaza. Alejandro's identity is confirmed by his cousin. I tried, chat. I can't read Spanish. Like one of my biggest flaws. Damn, you butchered it? Oh, damn, I tried. Graham Platner, he's such a fucking moron. Jesus Christ, he's such an idiot. Fucking moron. God damn it. Okay, chat, what do we want to watch? Okay, let's get some of these short videos out of the way. So, I don't know if you know, but an anti-Israel leftist won the congressional special election 3 weeks ago in Arizona. It was the candidate we had supported in the primary. Remember when I made fun of all the, David Hogg and, what's her name? Deja Fox. Okay, yeah, Deja Fox. That's what her name was. Anyway, I picked the leftist candidate. I told you she'd win. She fucking won. They refused to give her her seat. They're refusing to swear her in.
Forcing Speaker Johnson's hand on the Epstein investigation. In a major escalation tonight, the Attorney General of Arizona and Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva of Arizona are suing Mike Johnson. And they're suing him because Grijalva has not been sworn in. So what does all this have to do with Jeffrey Epstein? Because it does at its heart. Grijalva is the final vote needed for a bipartisan maneuver called a discharge petition that goes around Johnson. Because he does not want a vote to release the full Epstein files. This would go around him, get that vote to release the files. Grijalva was elected in Arizona 28 days ago, a whole month. And Johnson has, in that time, used every excuse not to swear her in.
What the fuck?
Look, we'll schedule it, I guess, as soon as she wants. It has nothing to do with...
As soon as the Democrats vote to reopen the government.
She deserves to have all the pomp and circumstance that everybody else does. Have her family and friends in the balcony.
But, so if she flies in her family, would you guys do it?
All of us, she'll get the full bells and whistles. It hasn't been scheduled because we don't schedule things for pro forma.
And when Grijalva called Johnson out on not swearing her in and doing it, she says, to protect Jeffrey Epstein and his high-powered clients, Johnson had this to say.
Bless her heart, she's a representative-elect. She doesn't know how it works around here.
Well, putting the condescension aside, she does know she's supposed to be sworn in. That, of course, is democracy 101, right? You get elected by the people of your state and you get sworn in. That's democracy. And tonight, the Arizona Attorney General, Chris Mays, whom I'll be speaking to in just a moment, writes, and I quote, in this lawsuit, Speaker Johnson has not identified any valid reason for refusing to promptly seat Ms. Grijalva. Instead, on information and belief, Speaker Johnson wishes to delay seating Ms. Grijalva to prevent her from signing a discharge petition that would force a vote on the release of the Epstein files. And just a few moments ago, Johnson just responded.
I think it's patently absurd. We run the House. She has no jurisdiction. We're following the precedent. She's looking for national publicity. Apparently she's gotten some.
She was on the phone talking and waited for a break in the conversation.
Johnson on defense, and it is not just because of this specific lawsuit that was just filed. It is actually because Republicans, members of his own party in the House, are speaking out. Because,
like, isn't this fucking weird? Like, I'm sorry, but how come I don't understand it, chat. I don't understand it anymore. I don't understand it anymore. I really don't get it. How the fuck are conservative brains even functional at this point? Sorry for the pedo troll muttering. I accidentally clicked on some video that was in another tab. Like, how... She says, I'm going to release the Epstein files. They're blocking her from being sworn in. Like, how do these conservatives brains not explode? It just doesn't make any sense. The Republicans in power are testing all the fences to see what actual constraints still exist. We're fucked. By the way, we're fucked. ISIS Gestapo. It is a nationwide, paramilitary force, and they're going to try to steal the elections. I don't know what to tell you, chat. I don't know what to tell you. They're gerrymandering. They're trying to rig the elections from gerrymandering. They're going to try to block people from voting physically, and then the counting's probably going to be crooked. And I don't feel like the Democrats, and I feel like most people are not aware of it. And like a lot of the people that are criticizing me and saying, why aren't you doing revolutionary socialism? They've got a fucking point. They've got a fucking point. I wish I knew some organizations that were about community defense and community mutual aid. I want us to start building parallel structures of power and connection. Like things are not good, folks. They're not good.
Many of them want the Epstein files released now, and they know that Grijalva's vote is the key to that.
It baffles me. To me, this is the easiest one to do. This is standing up for women and children who are raped, who are victims of sex trafficking. And this is for victims that are facing horrible consequences right now due to abuse. And I can't understand why this has been seemingly the biggest fight in Washington, D.C. It certainly shouldn't be.
She's completely right about that. It all comes on the same day the memoir of the most high-profile Epstein accuser, Virginia Giuffre, was published. Giuffre died by suicide after the decades of suffering she endured. She died earlier this year. But before she took her own life, she documented the unimaginable abuse that she suffered because of Jeffrey Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, who, of course, is convicted. Abuse that Virginia writes from, quote, came from a multitude of powerful men. Among them were a gubernatorial candidate who was soon to win election in a Western state and a former U.S. senator. Since Epstein usually neglected to introduce me to these men by name or introduce them at all, I would only learn who some of them were years later when I studied photographs of Epstein's associates and recognized the faces of those I was forced to have sex with. Giuffre even documents her abuse from a prime minister. In that case, she writes that he, quote, wasn't interested in caresses, he wanted violence. He repeatedly choked me until I lost consciousness and took pleasure in seeing me in fear for my life. Horrifically, the prime minister laughed when he hurt me and got more aroused when I begged him to stop. I mean, this is despicable stuff. It's pretty awful to have to sit here and even read sentences like that. Never mind to imagine there's a person who wrote them because they happened to her. Because not one of those men has been held accountable. Not one. And many of them right now, as we speak, are in circles of high society. Their friends might even see this. Their friends might even suspect or know, but they're just continuing along in high society. And that is wrong. And they must face accountability. Releasing the Epstein files, it should not be one of the biggest fights in Washington. Marjorie Taylor Greene is right about that. And perhaps Johnson is starting to feel the pressure because earlier today he was on the defense about the Epstein vote, saying to Politico, quote, the bipartisan House Oversight Committee is already accomplishing what the discharge petition, the gambit, sought and much more. It's important to just get to the bottom of this, though, when that is said, if that argument is made, to point out that that is false. Because the Oversight Committee, they are doing work, but they are releasing documents that are only a fraction of what exist. According to Ro Khanna on the committee, he and obviously he's a Democrat, Massey, a Republican, the files are just 1 gigabyte. 1 gigabyte of what the Oversight Committee has. That's what they have. There are 300 gigabytes of files that are known that the FBI said exist. So that is 1/300th of the total. Right? And much of that 1/300th was already known to be public. Johnson knows all of this. So when he is claiming he is all for transparency in this, and when it comes to Epstein, saying if it hits 218, it comes to the floor. That's how it works. If you get the signatures, it goes to a vote. Well, of course, in a sense, that's talking in circles because you only get to 218 if. Why did we just talk about Epstein for a few minutes? Because you actually have to seat Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva. She has to be sworn in. That is the 218th vote. And perhaps Grijalva herself has said it best. Here's what she told me.
So if this has nothing to do with the Epstein files, then swear me in.
Chris Mays is the Democratic Attorney General of Arizona. She's out front. She, along with Congresswoman-elect Grijalva, has just filed a lawsuit against the House of Representatives for refusing to seat Grijalva. And this is the Attorney General's first interview since filing that suit. So, Attorney General Mays, I appreciate your time. And, you know, we have this breaking news. You're filing the suit. And just moments ago, we heard from Speaker Johnson.
Why is this the most aggro I've seen CNN in years? Because this is fucking treason. I like... A lot of what's making fascism under Trump work is that people are just kind of going like, you're not allowed to do that. And then they do it. And then people are like, but he's not allowed to do that. And then they keep doing it. They're like, you're not allowed to do that. The worst is when a liberal makes a really smug face. Donald Trump broke the law again. He totally is not allowed to do that. Trump broke the law again. He's not allowed to do that. It's like, bitch, he's fucking doing it. Oh, you stabbed you with a knife? That's against the law. If you ever do that voice again, I'm unsubbing. That's my chorus. If I was a chorus creator, that's how I'd sound. I'd be like, Jon Stewart destroys Donald Trump and his hypocrisy. Big news. Big news, guys. I kind of want to do that where I start, like, I want to start a liberal TikTok channel. And I just start posting the most obnoxious liberal bullshit and see how far it goes. Just for fun. Just for gigs. The last decade has been the Democrats clinging to the rule book going, but a dog can't play basketball. Well, a dog fucking dunks on us over and over. What is this referring to? Everything, you fucking idiot.
Just responding to your suit, he says, and I quote him, it's patently absurd. We run the House. She has no jurisdiction, end quote. What do you say to him? What's the basis for your lawsuit?
Well, what we're saying to him and what we're asking a court to do is, declare that if Mike Johnson refuses to do his job, that Adelita Grijalva can be sworn in by a judge or any other person who with the capability under the law to swear her in. And, Mike Johnson can end this tomorrow by swearing Adelita in. She was duly elected by the people of Arizona, and we now have 813,000 Arizonans who are being taxed without representation in our state because Mike Johnson refuses to swear her in. So, we didn't want to have to file this lawsuit, but it's been 4 weeks now, Aaron, since she was elected. 4 weeks where she has not been able to do her job, serve her constituents. We've got issues here, including flooding in her district. She hasn't been able to serve veterans and deal with other issues like Social Security. It's time. Time's up.
So how quickly, you're saying a judge could do this, someone could get her seated right away. How quickly do you expect this lawsuit to move? I mean, essentially, is this something that could really result in her getting seated, sworn in by a judge or somebody in the next day or two? Or is this something more to make a point of precedent, and by the time this all works its way through, Johnson will have eventually done it?
Well, I wish Johnson would do it right now. In fact, I believe the Congresswoman-elect is in D.C. right now. He could walk over to her office right now and do it.
I like the Graham Platner thing is just, it's this and the Graham Platner thing. I'm like, chat, I think I'm getting brain damage from how stupid people are. Like, I think it's like if you have a computer and you keep feeding it like infinite loops, you know what I mean? And it starts like overheating. You know what I mean? Like you're just feeding a computer garbage code that like pegs it at 100% CPU for like hours at a time. That's damaging it. Like a virus, exactly. Like everything is so fucking dumb. Model collapse, but it's human intelligence. Exactly, lady. I'm like, how do you have a Nazi tattoo for 10 fucking years plus and not ever get it covered up or anyone notice? How do we refuse to swear someone in for a month because they're going to release the Epstein files and nobody's bothered? How are people liking Kamala Harris ever? How do you say unironically to someone that you feel bad backstabbing Mike because he's always so nice and say he must be being manipulative? How is this something you say to a group of people? Like this, I've had so many things said to me recently, chat, that they've actually critically hit. Like some of the most powerful stupid payloads of stupid. Earlier this stream, I had a video that my partner posted of us at a party, and then Ethan Klein and AB made a segment on their show about how I wasn't at the party, even though they were not at the party. Me quote tweeting videos recorded by me and my partner at a party. Like, how is this? What? I didn't make a selfie video, chat. I just made a video of my friends performing at the private, exclusive, invite-only party I was at that they were not at. And like, legitimately, it's, why do I have enemies? Like, my enemies are just, it's just, how do I live? I just go around and I make my little stream and I talk about my opinions and I go on my friends' streams and I talk in their chats and I make my little tweets and I occasionally do, you know, fundraisers for politicians and go to events. That's literally all. My life is focused on my friends, my family, my political views, and the projects I do in support of them. How is anybody mad at me? Legitimately, it's crazy. You're crazy, guys. You're fucking lunatics. You're fucking lunatics, folks. I met Mike once with Vio, and he was at the nicest and wanted to hang out and do things in Vegas. We were never able to, but can't confirm Mike is a nice, good guy that has actual friends and wants to make actual friends. I'm normal. I'm normal. I'm normal. I'm just normal, and people hate it. Are you talking puts for Tesla earnings? I wonder, like, they still had the end of the tax credit spike, Toy Spider. It's crazy. You got a little bit of brain rot. Well, everybody does now. It's 2025. It's just so weird. There are people whose careers I could help grow who spontaneously declared me their enemy because of their own mind. It's like one of the weirdest experiences of my life. And I'm nice to these people. I've helped them out. I've been kind to them, expecting nothing in return. It's so fucking weird. It's so fucking weird. No, you have above average intelligence. That's the full story. People are nice to people with more money than them, but because they want the money. They're nice to people who are better shaped than them because they are afraid to get beat up. They're nice to people who are hot because they want to have sex with them, but someone smarter that just makes them feel bad about how dumb they are, and you don't have anything for them except making them feel dumb. I appreciate you saying that it's because I'm smart, but like, I don't think that's it. I don't think it's that. And I'm just not transactional. I'm just not transactional. I'm just nice to people and I'm kind to people, and then I go about my business. They basically say you aren't strong or attractive. I mean, listen, I wouldn't consider myself hot, and I'm working on my strength. I'm getting back into the gym. I'm still like beginner level strength. I'm getting back. I want to get back to, you know, intermediate level strength. You know, 1, 2, 3 plates kind of thing. You know what I mean? He's got long hair. He's hot. I mean, plenty of women find me attractive. That's not a, but I mean, that's the issue. You are transactional. Most people expect that, so it throws them off and they don't like that. Someone help me. Like, legitimately help me. Can we stop the why doesn't everyone like me segments? You don't need everyone to like. No, I don't care about that. I've got a lot of friends. It's not that no one likes me or whatever. And why doesn't everyone like me? I'm just crashing out over the psychotic, weird freaks that are stalking me. You don't have an original YouTuber making segments about your partner's tweet that you quote tweeted to say that you weren't at the party that you were at. Do you understand how weird it is that you have people replying saying you weren't at a thing you were at because they're fucking like, what? That's weird, man. It's fucking weird.
Look, we are hoping that this lawsuit results quickly in Adelita Grijalva being sworn in. And, you know, we're going to a judge in Washington, D.C., asking that judge to declare that she is eligible to be sworn in. And if Mike Johnson and the House of Representatives, run by the Republicans right now, refuse to do it, that someone else can do it so she can.
Have you had any interactions with Speaker Johnson about this? I mean, I know you had initially sent a letter to him. That was 8 days ago, and you threatened the lawsuit. And now he's responding, obviously, in the statement that we have. But have you had any interaction with him at all at this point?
I mean, sadly, no. I mean, all we have heard from Speaker Johnson is basically comments on shows like yours. And, you know, he has not responded directly to us, and he's basically thumbing his nose at 813,000 Arizonans who don't have a representative. And my state is now down a representative. That's not okay. It violates the Constitution. It violates the law.
I don't know, Chad. I'm sorry for crashing out. I've just, it's odd. It's odd. Is it legal for the representatives to be stopped from being sworn in? No, it's not legal. There's something that you could sue for called a writ of mandamus, where basically somebody who's empowered to take ceremonial steps that are necessary to impanel someone is forced to do it. This is abusing basically what should be done as, you know, a matter of automatic steps. They're delaying it as much as they could plausibly do, and even beyond, so they could deny her that formal status. It's like this, chat. In our society, we have these ceremonial events that take place that create different social conditions. Like, for example, if you could be engaged to someone, right? And in your heart, love them and be devoted to them. But for you to have the status as husband and wife, you have to go through a formal process called marriage. And there has to be a ceremony. There has to be. Even if it's simple as going to the courthouse and having a judge do it and having a witness sign. For you to be married, you have to go through a formal process. There is a marriage license. There is recognition. You know, you have to confirm your identities. Like, in order to be married, there's a formal process that has to happen. And until that process happens, you're not married. Now, you could have a huge marriage and a huge wedding and a huge party, or you could have it be really simple. It's up to you. That's your taste. But that formal process has to happen. And the same thing is being a representative. You go through an election. The election is certified. That certification has to go to Congress. That has to be accepted as authentic. And then you have to swear an oath. Until that formal process is completed, you're not a representative yet. And they're denying her that formal process. But all the parts that were, you know, required democratic input, all the things that are not formal, just steps that are supposed to happen automatically, have been completed. And so he's abusing his symbolic power and turning it into real political power, because by refusing to swear her in, something that should happen automatically, he is able to block the release of the Epstein files. That's tyranny. He is committing tyranny to block the release of the Epstein files. That's fucking crazy. And speaking of tyranny, Texas is violating the First Amendment. Texas is teaching the Bible to 5-year-olds with your taxpayer dollars.
Wow, is it the early 2000s? Because I'm talking about the Texas State Board of Education using textbooks in order to violate separation of church and state. Seriously, back in the 2000s, my site Skepchick featured frequent updates from my Texan friend, Sam, who reported on what was happening at the time. At that point, 7 of the 15 members of the Board of Education were outright Christian fundamentalist creationists whose goal was to stop public schools from teaching the science of evolution. This was a huge story, not just because of the millions of children in Texas who would be going through school without getting essential education about foundational science, but also because of how Texas influences the rest of the country. Texas is the second largest purchaser of school textbooks in the United States. And at the time, the number 1 largest purchaser, California, was having budget issues, so they weren't going to be able to order new books for a while. That meant that any changes Texas made to the textbooks would also end up in other states, because the textbook publishers don't want to spend extra money producing different versions for different states. And it wasn't just about evolution. The theocrats in the Texas school board also tried to erase references to climate change and downplay slavery and overstate the role of Christianity in the founding and the culture of the United States. At every step, the school board was challenged by parents.
Okay. Etymology Nerd had a clip that I wanted to show you, chat, that was talking about those ceremonies, which is really cool because I like Etymology Nerd, so I'm going to put one of his TikToks in here because it links up with what I was just talking about.
I think the trippiest type of sentence is the performative utterance, where you don't just say something, you physically change reality with the act of speech itself. For example, when a wedding officiant says, "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the wedding only happens because they say it happens. If they didn't pronounce the marriage, it simply wouldn't exist, which means the pronouncement is a self-fulfilling prophecy that literally performs something as it describes it. Same with when an umpire cries foul. He's both just making a call and doing something which will literally change the course of the game, all because people at some point gave him that power. And you can literally also change reality by making a promise or a bet or an agreement that also wouldn't be a thing unless you had said said something. But even normal sentences kind of do this too, because you're never just neutrally describing things. You're always signaling something extra. Like if you're at the dinner table and you say, is there any salt? And then someone passes you the salt. You just physically change reality because you signaled you needed salt. Or when you finish a sentence in normal conversation, that then becomes a prompt for the other person to say something. So you're once again performing something extra. In that sense, manifestation is completely real. And I think ancient civilizations understood that better than we do today. In Egyptian mythology, the god Ta literally speaks the world into existence. And God creates light by saying, let there be light. So those are also performative utterances. We've just lost the mystical associations of how language can change reality. I think the trippiest type of sentence is...
And like, that is what he's doing. He's literally changing reality by refusing to make those performative utterances, swearing her in.
Secular activists and organizations like the now defunct Texas Citizens for Science and the still kicking ass National Center for Science Education. Thanks to their efforts, the creationists were not able to achieve all of their goals, but they never stopped trying, and they never will. In 2023, they managed to drop science textbooks from the curriculum for highlighting climate change, and they edited the remaining books to do things like removing a number of diagrams illustrating the evolutionary lineage of human beings from its high school biology textbook, while Discovery Education removed a reference to fossil fuel use contributing to the greenhouse effect in its grade 6 textbook. And now, thanks to the current state of our fascist theocracy, things are only going to get worse. Last week, the New York Times published the results of a public records request revealing disturbing changes not to the science textbooks in Texas, but to their English language arts lessons. The changes exclusively focus on inserting Christianity wherever they can, while deleting most mentions of any other religions. Jesus alone was mentioned 19 times in the previous curriculum, and is now mentioned 87 times. The New York Times describes how fifth graders, which is around the age of 10 or 11, will now study a psalm as part of a poetry lesson, while first graders around the age of 5 or 6 will discuss the parable of the prodigal son alongside stories like The Boy Who Cried Wolf. And most hypocritically, kindergarten children will learn in depth about the book of Genesis in a lesson on art exploration that notes that many artists have found inspiration for creating art from the words and creation stories in religious books. Kindergarten, that's 4 or 5 years old. That's the same age that these same lunatics claim is too young to even look at a picture book of 2 male penguins raising an egg. They say it's indoctrination at that age to even acknowledge that some kids have 2 mommies. Apparently, that's a great age to learn in depth about the book of Genesis. True story. I was raised Baptist, and when I was around 9 or 10 years old, I decided to sit down and read the Bible cover to cover. I had to go back over Genesis several times. First of all, because it was so short that I couldn't believe that this was the grand story that we had learned repeatedly in Sunday school. And second, because it was so stupid. To wit, let's take a look at the sample lesson printed in the New York Times to teach children sequencing. Ask students to think of the events that were mentioned in the read aloud. Use the prompts below and support students to order the events of the story. Which event happened first? God created light. What happened next? God created the seas, dry ground, and vegetation. What happened after that? God created the fish and birds. Okay, so far so good. Then what happened? God created the animals.
The fish and birds are animals. What? Fish and birds are both animals. What?
Well, hold on. What the fuck do they think a fish is? What's a bird? Are they bacteria now? What happened last? God created the first man and woman and the Garden of Eden. Okay, so what's
not even true? We're like, come on, guys. Come on.
What the fuck are men and women? Are we not animals anymore? Oh, right. The new biology books will probably say we aren't. Animals are filthy things that are beneath us. The nonsensical nature of the Genesis story is bad enough, but of course what's truly awful here is that little kids are going to come away from this thinking that it's true. You can easily teach sequences with an obviously made-up story, like a story about a dog who walks down the street and finds a bologna sandwich. If young children walk away from that thinking that a dog actually did kid walk down the street and find a bologna sandwich, it doesn't really matter. It does matter if they walk away thinking that the Christian God created the universe in 6 days and also can't tell the fucking difference between a fish and a vegetable. That's a problem. That is indoctrination. Previously, the curriculum introduced students to Christianity alongside other major religions, but that unit was cut. Now they can learn that Mansa Musa took a trip to Mecca without bothering to explain why that location is important and without mentioning the Prophet Muhammad. And one of the biggest changes was made in a section teaching 5th graders about Leonardo da Vinci by giving them 5 paragraphs on the biblical background of the Last Supper, including passages from the Gospel of Matthew. The good news, if there's any to be found here, is that only a quarter of Texas school districts have signed up.
It's like this is unconstitutional. This is blatantly unconstitutional. But guess what? They're doing it anyway. Also, this doesn't work. This is not how. Oh, I heard about. I didn't hear Mansa Musa was going to Mecca. Therefore, I'm now a Christian fundamentalist. What the fuck are they even doing?
For this curriculum. The very bad news is that
You guys don't know who this is? You guys don't know who Rebecca Watson is? One of the fucking OGs? I mean, come on. All right, well, she's the fucking GOAT. Now, I'm more left-wing than her, but not that much. She's pretty good as far as I know. I don't really know of her sucking. Did she ever do anything that sucked? I don't think she's fine. I like her. I mean, it's just me appreciating her content. You know, I don't know if she has any opinion of me at all. I don't care, honestly. I only care that the video in front of me is advancing progressive values in the way that I want to talk about it. You don't have to like me for that. I think she's more of a, do you have more than 24 hours in a day? I can't believe I squeeze more content creators into my day. I usually, if I watch content offline, I watch it at like 3x or 2.5. Depends on how fast the person talks.
Can guarantee that these lessons are going to end up in other states, particularly those red states that have made serious moves to demolish the wall separating church and state. Georgia, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Florida, and other red states have targeted.
Can you set it to 3x? They just upgraded that. You can now set it to 4, which to me, that's crazy. That's the unhinged shit. 4? Nah, dude. 2 is kind of my baseline. Like, I'll go into a video 2, but if the person's like a slow talker, they get 2.5.
The education of minors to inject their Christian propaganda. Because, as always, every accusation is a confession. They know that actually educating kids in the arts and sciences creates well-rounded adults who reject authoritarian theocracies, and they simply cannot have that. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like and hit subscribe if you want to see more.
This is the kind of shit that will break up the Trump coalition. This is the type of stuff that will break up the Trump coalition, and I want to see more of this type of content, which is basically like, oh, and by the way, thank you so much for the gifted subs. I don't know if I thanked Open Presents. Thank you so much for the gifted subs, man. I really do appreciate you. I haven't been chilling lately as much, but thank you so much for coming in and supporting the stream. I really do appreciate it. You're keeping my lights on. Engineer looking for socialist-minded work. Any hints? Bro, I don't know. The economy is dog shit, man. Atlantic Tuna, thanks for the tier 1. I just, okay, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. This is the type of content that will break up the Trump coalition. Because, like him or not, somebody like Joe Rogan is not going to like this shit. And that's why Donald Trump was able to win. He was able to unite the weird freak evangelical Christian psychos and a lot of the like dirtbag, you know, downscale dude bros who have problematic takes on things like women and queer people and immigrants. Evan Fist, thank you for the 25 bomb or the 20 bomb. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Reported the U.S. struck a drug boat in the Pacific and Ocean. Venezuela is not on. What the 1919 tattoo is also a Nazi tattoo. I have no idea. It's a date. It could literally mean anything. I think that's a little bit of a reach. Clear Games, thank you for the 20 bomb. All right, chat, we have a hype train. The top sub gifter and the top bit donor get the hype train conductor badge next to their name. It is one of the most amazing beneficial things that you can do. Still a dog whistle? It's not a dog whistle. Maybe it could be, but I think that's you're getting silly at that point. Mr. Chungus, thank you for the tier 1. Welcome back, brother. It's an angel number. I don't know what that means. Anyway, okay, what was I saying? I got distracted. This is the type of shit that regular people that are not Christian fundamentalists hate. And this is a great piece of information to break it up. To start breaking up the Republican right coalition. People do not want goth botherers forcing their kids to be taught a religion they don't believe in. This shit is fucking annoying. I also just don't feel like talking about shit like this about Graham Platner that's just based on, speculation. All right, chat. Zohran answers questions from my conservative family members.
I'm with Zohran Mamdani. He's you're running for mayor. Mayor, yeah. And the rich people have all threatened to leave New York if you're elected. But if you're not elected, Cuomo's threatening to move to New York.
It's a long commute from Westchester. He wants to cut it down. Hey.
I told my conservative family that I'm interviewing you, and they had some questions. So I'm going to read.
I'm going to be a mayor for them, too.
Pretend you're at the dinner table with my family. We just got done talking about trans people, and now dessert is being served, and we're talking about Zohran.
Here we go.
If you make buses completely free, what's to stop homeless people from camping out in the back?
So when we made 5 bus routes free across New York City, when we were in the midst of that push in the state legislature, where I serve as an assemblyman, we were told that making them free would increase the amount of homeless New Yorkers who were using the bus, that it would become a roving homeless encampment. What we found is actually making them free had no impact on that question. And what it actually did is provide economic relief to New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs. What it provided was public safety because it decreased assaults on bus operators by 38.9%, and environmental benefits because more than 10% of new riders were previously driving their own car or taking a cab. Now they were taking the bus.
All right. You hear that? You hear that? From my other conservative family member. The city has made a lot of progress on crime and disorder. Are you going to stop that with your liberal policies?
It has been a good thing to see the decline in crime across the city.
By the way, this is awesome. This is Zohran going on, a left-wing creator, taking questions that conservatives often taking their points and taking them head on. I think this is really good content for a candidate to do.
And that's something that we have to continue. And we also have to ensure that we are addressing the many different crises that are making New Yorkers also feel unsafe. Because when I ask New Yorkers, where do you feel most unease? They will often say public transit. And they'll say it's because of the mental health crisis and the homelessness crisis. Yeah. And we've been asking police officers to deal with this when their job should be dealing with serious crimes. That's why we're going to create a Department of Community Safety that will address a number of issues, chief among them homelessness and the mental health crisis, to actually connect those New Yorkers with the services that they deserve, to get them out of the subway system and into the very places that will provide them with those services.
And that all sounds nice, but who's going to play Candy Crush on their phones while civilians take down an active shooter?
I am only answering one question from each conservative family member.
Okay. And lastly, here's a doozy. Okay. I have 2 homeless encampments outside my house. It sucks. I feel for them, but I have a right to order in my neighborhood, not getting hit up 5 times as soon as I step outside.
This is city government's responsibility. It is our responsibility to take care of New Yorkers. It's not actually your conservative relative's responsibility. And that's something that my city government is going to live up to. We are going to connect homeless New Yorkers with the very supportive housing units that were built to serve so many of them, but today are sitting vacant. We have about 4,200 New Yorkers who are living on subway platforms across New York City. We have almost the same number of vacant supportive housing units in New York City. Mm-hmm. It's our job to make that connection. It's our job to build enough housing such that everyone can find a place to live, and our job to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants so we're not pushing people into homelessness.
And just to be fair, some of my conservative family members are voting for you. They're voting for you like this, like Right? Which, you know what? I'll take it.
We'll take it.
I'll take it.
Win them.
By the way, I completely agree with Zohran. Anarchists, hold your ears. Anarchists, hold your ears. There's something called public health and sanitation, okay? And nobody likes when there is waste on the streets, trash on the streets, people that are unbathed, wandering the streets, having mental health crises. Like, that is a failure of the community. And the solution isn't, well, just let them be there. The solution is for interventions that focus on human dignity and get these people not out of the community, but further embedded in the community where they are entitled to long-term housing as a human right. Okay? However, there is a requirement of, like, I don't think people should not be able to just sleep on the street if they want to. That's not a thing that should be allowed. You shouldn't be allowed to litter. You shouldn't be allowed to dump oil down the sewer drains. You shouldn't be allowed to harass people. Like, there is public safety requirements that exist. Public parks should be for leisure, right? Like, that is a pretty basic tenet. And the problem we have is we have an austerity mindset. And even among people who consider themselves radicals, they think we can't afford to guarantee housing for everybody who wants to live in the city as a human right. And we abso-fucking-lutely can.
Over and earn their trust when I'm in city government.
So last time Cuomo was here, he made a right on red. It's actually in his own campaign ad.
Yes. Well, totally. Cuomo will always take a turn to the right when he's given an opportunity. We're seeing that in the general election.
Okay, so it is really nasty outside today. People are still lined up to see Zohran. We're in Washington Heights, and people have come far and wide. So people are saying that Trump's going to do bad things to the city if Zohran's elected, and we should all be really scared.
Zohran has said it himself. He's already doing bad things to the city. He already has it out for the city, for the state, for all his enemies like Letitia James. He's on revenge. What Zohran represents is someone who's going to fight that in a way, not make a compromise, not have them, and not have
fascists in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, he's looking to bring out our better sides for us to rally us to what's going to help the common good and not help the rich.
Why are you here for Zohran?
Because I love him and he knows what to do. And we're having an African thing on next Saturday, and we're trying to get the African community with him. He knows what he's and he's a young guy, and we're related to him. Okay. Not because he's Muslim, but he's a person that he got his dignity and he's going to do what he say.
This guy is signing people up to canvass for Zohran. Zohran has, like 70,000 people canvassing for him. Cuomo has no one canvassing for him. Cuomo's basically taken Hillary Clinton's losing campaign strategy and said, oh, this is going to be my playbook. Why are you supporting Zohran?
He's just kind of standing for the right policies that are focused on the cost of living and just like getting people what they need in the city. And I think that's the most important thing right now.
Listen, if you make the city too affordable, the rich people aren't going to be able to afford to live here.
Yeah, that's a really big problem, honestly. I haven't considered that up until now.
Listen, if the poor people can afford to live here, then the rich people won't. You got it. Why are you excited about Zohran?
Well, because I'm a young person and he makes me feel like I have a voice in the city that I love and belong in, and also because everything's getting really expensive and it's pushing.
I can't believe these Zionists that are, I can't believe this Zionist is getting given a platform. She
people that are
Zohran. This is one of the things. This is why touching grass can really help you. Touching grass can really help you. It's when you're like, oh, the internet's psychotic, weird freakouts are really just that. Psychotic, weird freakouts. People say Zohran is a Zionist. Yes, they've been saying that the last couple weeks. Because I don't remember why. I think he said he condemned violence or something. I don't remember.
Presented, and so I feel like we need to kind of bring back diversity, push back on what's the word? Gentrification and kind
hyper gentrification.
Yeah. And so I think the rent freeze will definitely make people feel like they don't have to push out of the city, even if they lived here for so long. Because you have people from different cultures who've been living.
Gentrification is not the same thing as displacement. Displacement is the problem. Making a neighborhood. Increasing its amenities is called raising the standard of living. We all want that. But the reason why people worry about increased amenities is because that means the rent's going to go up. But if every neighborhood has a lot of really nice amenities, That's called raising the standard of living for everybody. We live in such a poverty austerity mindset that people worry whenever they see their neighborhood getting nicer.
America deserved 9/11. Israel right to exist from the river to the sea. Globalize the Intifada.
I love that the songs that I've been playing that I dug out of obscurity are now blowing up even harder. That fucking rules. I love that. They were mad because he said Hamas should disarm last week. It was annoying to hear, but I don't pay attention to that because he is pro-Palestine. I think it is fucking weird. I actually think it's unhinged to call Zohran a Zionist. I unironically listened to your YouTube playlist. It's a good playlist, chat. It is a good playlist. 30 million views now? Holy fucking hell. Holy, I remember when we put this on there might have been like 5K or something. Maybe I'll have to go back and look. Legitimately. Holy fuck. I know it's a very famous Arabic song. I'm talking about it being played on YouTube 30 million times. I know it's very famous. I'm just saying that it being played on YouTube 30 million times is insane. I'm not claiming that I found it or whatever. No, that's not what I'm saying. I think there's a lot of people who get attention for just being kind of intransigent. Is really the only word I can think of.
Here for so long, and now they feel like their city's no longer theirs.
Cuomo's talking about how Zohran Mamdani led a very privileged life, as opposed to Cuomo, who was the son of a governor.
When they say eat the rich, I don't think they're talking about like somebody with like a lakefront or whatever. They're talking about like the billionaires who can spare so much. I mean, like if you compare like 1 million to 1 billion, it's like a great difference. You know, I feel like taxing, people with more wealth than you can imagine.
There's a gym in the West Village that is $10,000 a month. You can look it up.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, just mention that anytime they talk about New York City not being affordable for the rich.
It just keeps going. What is this, a Cuomo deposition?
I was going to go to the end of the line, but I can't find the end of the line. Hey! Yeah, this. Holy shit. What do you love about Zohran?
Education.
Oh, educators for Zohran. Yes. Okay. I was just at a Cuomo rally, and he wants to make everything charter, school choice, school choice, school choice. Do you have any opinions on that?
Public education's backbone of democracy.
Okay. Yeah, because he had a whole thing of, well, it should be more charter. We should expand charter. I wonder what your specific opinions are. There's no wrong answers.
Yeah, I think things like the New York State law limiting class sizes that's a great place to put resources, and charter schools is like a great way to skim off resources from the public system. So public schools administered by the Department of Education seems like the model to go.
Thank you. Yeah, that's been one of my bigger issues, is the anti-school choice initiative. You here for Zohran?
Yeah, I am for Zohran.
Okay.
Okay, we believe that the rent is too high, and there's a mafia here, a monopoly on of buildings, and it will continue increasing if the city doesn't do anything. We believe that we need the state, the city, and the federal government to place a plan funding new housing, building new apartments for poor people like us. Okay. Yeah, I believe that Zohran can help with us. the problem.
And that's why you're supporting Zohran?
Yeah, supporting Zohran.
Instead of Cuomo?
No, not Cuomo. Cuomo belongs to rich people. Zohran belongs to us.
It's hilarious that the people protesting at the Zohran event are still advocating for Zohran.
We need to fix the housing problem.
Yeah.
Everybody should have a decent place where to live, not too expensive or according to their income.
So you're just voting for him because he's going to make your life better?
It's not just my life. He's gonna make everybody's life better. I'm voting for Zohran because Zohran is fighting for the middle class people. He's fighting for the affordable New York. He wants to make the buses free, right? People, the middle class people, that is exactly what they want. The city is so expensive, it is really, really hard to live in this kind of city, right? So that's what Zohran is working for, to make the city affordable. Zohran will be the mayor for everybody. Unlike Cuomo, who's running, Sliwa, they'll be like catering to only their bases, right?
Can I ask you why you're volunteering?
I volunteer because I believe that New York City deserves to be a place where everybody can afford to live.
Awesome. Yeah. And how can people volunteer?
People can volunteer by knocking doors, by phone banking.
This is the type of shit that I swear, if you're feeling depresso, if you're feeling down in the dumps, if you're feeling bad about yourself, get out there, join one of these left-wing candidates or campaigns or groups, and just start working with like-minded people around a goal. Don't go there to soapbox. Don't go there to rant. Go there to work. And that kind of you will feel so much pride and so much solidarity. It can really change your outlook. Get out there and touch grass. Milo Yiannopoulos, what's his fucking name? Not Milo Yiannopoulos. What the fuck is his name again? My brain is rotting. Milo, the fucking bigot. I got it right? Okay. I don't know why I thought I got it wrong. I'm 41 and the doctor thinks I have a brain tumor. I've been passing out a lot lately. Monstrous headaches. My vision is unpredictably bad. I'm not hungry. I'm always hungry. Tingly fingers. And of course I've been ignoring these symptoms for months. That's terrible. Chat, if you have the same thought I do, peepo smile in the chat. Peepo smile if you feel like this is just terrible. Brain tumors are terrible. Or is it years? That must be a good sign, I tell him. Surely I'd be dead by now. He just looks at me. I've had an MRI and there's a dark spot. Black as sin. The technician wasn't absolutely sure, and my doctor isn't an oncologist, though his wife is. Something is in there that shouldn't be. Something is not right. So I'm having another one and seeing a specialist in a few days. It's not 100%. It might not be cancer. My gut says I will be fine. He won't have spared me from AIDS just to take me out like this. Whatever it is, I suddenly regret saying, I'm ready to be with Jesus so many times over the past couple of years. God is like that. One of his favorite punishments is giving you what you asked for. The thing in my head is in the best place it could be, surgically speaking, so there's that. And there are still a few much less serious things it could be, none of which will lay claim to my hair. Heavenly Father, don't make me tour in a silk headscarf. You fucking vain-ass bitch. I've tried it out at home in the mirror, and it doesn't look... I don't look tragic or dramatic or sympathetic. Piratical? Like a fortune teller. People who are beastly to others for a living have no right to ask for good wishes, let alone prayer, even when they're scared. But I am scared, so I am asking anyway. Instead of tweeting or texting me something celebratory, do me a favor, would you? Ask our Lord to spirit this thing away so I can get back to work like I promised. I'll keep you posted. He knows he's beastly to others. I want him to get exactly what he deserves. And only his conscience will tell him what that is. I don't sit in judgment.
Connecting with our neighbors, that's how we're going to win. So that's how we're volunteering.
And that's what website?
ZohranForNYC.com/events.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell me why you're here.
Because I want fast, free buses. No, but I do. It's unaffordable. It's getting to the point where people are leaving. I grew up here. I was born and raised here. I want to stay, and I want to,
you want to be able to afford to.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So freezing the rent, I'm all for it. I know, right? Walter! Come here, talk to Amelia. We're We're so excited to meet you.
I said, why are you supporting Zohran?
Well, if rent is frozen, that means that I can volunteer and show up and do more things in my community, you know, because my expenses will be fixed, which means I can do work that pays like shit and actually show up. So that's one of the main reasons.
Yeah, you don't have to work 80 hours a week.
I would like to work less jobs and do quality work for people who I love and care about. That's kind of what it's about.
I'm really excited that there's someone who gives me hope, and I think a lot of my friends have hope.
We don't need hope. We need to increase the police budget, luxury skyscrapers.
More red berets on the subway, right?
Yes.
Feral cats. I love that.
Yeah. Zohran wants these city-owned grocery stores where it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah, I actually got into an argument about this while I was canvassing this last weekend. Is he hated the city-owned grocery stores, and I had to explain to him that we actually have already subsidized grocery stores. So like, it's not even.
There's multiple city-owned and community-owned grocery stores all around the country, and guess what? They work really well. Many of them are very profitable. But the thing about them is, what makes a grocery store profitable is oftentimes things like fixed costs, like the rent that they pay. So the city can realize that certain areas, because of rental pricing, may not be able to support a grocery store. And so it could come in, use city-owned land that's vacant, build a grocery store, and because they're not paying rent to a landlord, it could still be profitable, pay employees well, and provide food to the community. Wow, it's so hard to imagine.
That crazy of an idea.
I mean, there's also state-run liquor stores.
Yeah.
There's plenty of places that do state-run liquor stores. Big Marxist Kansas has state-run grocery stores.
Yeah.
You know, Kansas, you know, famously.
I've heard there's a lot of communists in Kansas.
Yeah, famous communists over in Kansas.
Yeah.
Zohran has all these policies that he's mean-tested in the pilot program. If he was a true Democrat, he would be setting up a commission to study the policy and pilot program. And then the commission wouldn't pass any real policy. Does he even know what he's doing? Really? Where'd you say you're from?
Yeah, I'm Palestinian.
That's a little anti-Semitic. So they lived there, and then they didn't live there for a very long time, and then they moved back. It's kind of like Andrew Cuomo.
Exactly. It's like Andrew Cuomo, you know, they're not native to the land.
Yeah. Tell me why we're supporting Zohran.
I'm a member of the New York City Democratic Socialists of America, and I have known him for a very long time, and it's so exciting to have a Democratic Socialist mayor, someone who's going to fight to freeze my rent as a rent-stabilized tenant and make it affordable for me to live in the city in the long term, and hopefully fight against oligarchy across this country right now, because we need people like him and not the same old corporate Democrats who have defined our party for too long. We need new leaders like him, and I'm really excited to be supporting him and canvassing for him and whatever I can do to work towards a democratic socialist future.
It's been
Beautiful.
scary watching Trump take such an authoritarian turn. We've seen ICE agents indiscriminately rounding up undocumented immigrants. We've seen Trump go after his political enemies. We've seen Trump go after free speech. Late night hosts. It's very scary for me as a comedian because I haven't been on Kimmel yet. And right now we need someone who's going to stand strong. We all know Cuomo will kiss the ring. He kisses everything.
I have a message for you. Something is changing in New York. You can feel it in this room. Zohran Mamdani has brought all of us together around a simple, powerful idea that New York City should be a city for everyone.
We are here tonight because we are ready to turn the page on the cynical, broken politics of the past. We are ready to build a city that works for the people who actually make it run. Working people, the teachers, the nurses, the drivers, the home health aides, the firefighters, the police, not just for those at the top, but for working people who built this city from the ground up.
There is something. Did you hear about the KKK rally taking over? KKK taking over the Halloween rally in Mechanicsburg? I heard about something happening. Did you see KGP's new appearance where she's defending Biden extra hard and saying she left the Dems because they were cruel to him? Okay, chat. We watched the rally already, so we don't need to watch more of that. How's the markets doing? Uh-oh. Goldman's hedging strategy for a market drawdown. People are buying bonds. How's crypto doing? Bitcoin around 100. How's gold? Okay. Oh, okay. So we're off a little bit off the absolute peak. That's interesting. People are going into cash. So I think Tesla's third quarter earnings are going to be pretty good because it was the end of the tax credit, so a bunch of people bought cars. What's the best way to contact you about a DSA candidate interview? Probably through my mods, DMs, etc. Launch failure. Was great to meet you at TwitchCon. Chat GPT usage has peaked and is now declining. It's fucking October. How is it declining? Rut-row. Revenue plateauing in Europe. Oh, this shit is fucking toast, man. All right, let's watch some Bernie Sanders on the Tim Dillon show. I'm not a fan. Now, I've seen Tim Dillon clips where he's like speaking out against Israel, but I don't understand why this show is popular at all. He's kind of bitches and moans in a sarcastic fashion, and it's like kind of annoying. So I'm not really
Ladies
sure
and
why
gentlemen,
people like
welcome
it.
to the Tim Dillon Show. The book is Fight Oligarchy, Bernie Sanders. It is out everywhere. You can get it on Amazon.com. You can go to a local bookstore, which is always a good idea. Support a local bookstore, and I'm sure the author of this book will appreciate that. Bernie Sanders, Senator, thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it.
How do we get him on my show to hawk this pamphlet? Because it's fucking short. That's a tiny book, Bernie.
This book, when you walked in, we talked about it is not big, but it is something that you've been talking about for many, many years. What is the importance of writing this now? Because you just got off a tour with the same name about fighting oligarchy.
I think, Tim, this is kind of an unprecedented moment in American history. And I think what the book touches on are issues that the media in general, my colleagues in Congress are not very comfortable dealing with. And that is power and wealth. Who owns the country? How's that? Pretty simple question.
Yeah.
Who really has the power? And what we are looking at right now is a moment in history where we have more income and wealth inequality than we've ever had. And I think what the American people have got to decide is whether they are comfortable with a situation in which one person, Mr. Musk, owns more wealth than the bottom 52% of American households. Is that really what America is supposed to be about? Top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 93%. And while the very richest people in America are becoming phenomenally richer, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck.
It's a huge problem. And I think that most Americans would hear those numbers and think that there's a big problem where you have one person controlling more wealth than 52% of the country, which is probably around 150 million people, maybe more. And that also is a huge problem for democracy. There's a huge problem for democracy. Trump, Kamala Harris, anybody in my lifetime that has been outside of yourself, that has been a contender for the presidency from a major political party is backed usually by the same groups of people. They're very wealthy lobbyists, donors. The donor class is incredibly powerful. You know, the landmark Supreme Court decision to regard political donations as speech.
Citizens United.
Citizens United. Thank you.
By the way, chat, like, I think it's a good thing to get these slop idiots talking to Bernie Sanders. I've always held that position. That it's a good thing to go where these people are at and talk to them about this shit. I always think that. That being said, it's not the only thing we need to do, and we certainly shouldn't concede a single point to these dumb fucks.
The name escaped me. I can donate as much money as I want to a candidate, and it's considered speech. Where did we go wrong? Was it always as bad as it is now?
Look, money. People with money always had power. But Citizens United Supreme Court decision opened the door in creating a very corrupt campaign finance system. And you said it all. Right now, In the Republican Party, Mr. Musk himself contributed 200.
There's always conservatives saying they appreciate Bernie being a sincere politician, but his ideas are dumb as fuck. Incorrect. In fact, Bernie Sanders is very popular with a whole range of people who don't like the Democrats, as well as all the Democrats. He is the most popular active politician in America, meaning politician that's actually in office advocating for shit that's not requiring some sort of nostalgia. Obama is very popular because people are nostalgic for Obama era, you know, like how things were boring. But as far as like actual politicians, there's not anyone more popular than him, which if you believe in some of the left-wing ideas, that's good for you.
$70 million to help elect Trump. And then he was given the opportunity to be the most powerful person in government for many, many months.
I would rather pay for an American's healthcare than a foreign war, but I'm certainly not paying for both. Nothing better than listening to millionaires complain about billionaires. Meanwhile, I can't eat. Hey, dumb fuck. That's because the billionaires control the shit. Insane he still defends the party that stopped him being president. Like, honest to God, chat. That's what I say. My favorite part is when he decried billionaires but seemed to defend the wealthy. I should point out that he has consistently supported sending billions to Israel. So this has 8 likes. Do you see what I mean, chat? Like, a lot of the bot points don't actually have very many likes. Evades hard questions. And by the way, whatever Bernie Sanders gets, whatever he supports the Democratic Party, that's where he loses most of his juice.
Democratic billionaires play a very important role in selecting who the Democratic candidates are, and in a sense, through their money, kind of controlling what those candidates will stand for and what they will fight for. The power of money right now, today, is extraordinary in both political parties. And if we're going to save American democracy, we've got to get rid of this. In my view, we've got to get rid of this campaign, this Citizens United Supreme Court decision, and you got to move to public funding of elections. So in other words, if you want to run against me, I shouldn't be able to outraise you 10 to 1 or 50 to 1. I do that, I'm going to beat you every time. You show that you have support, you deserve a certain amount of public funding, I will get the same amount of funding, go for it. Your idea is better than mine, then you win the election. Let's have campaigns based on ideas, not billionaires putting huge amounts of money into ugly 30-second ads.
For the Supreme Court to reverse the Citizens United decision, in your estimation, what would have to happen?
Well, this Supreme Court ain't going to do it.
Right.
We're going to have the congressional action. We could do it through Congress.
And how would you do it through Congress?
Well, you do it through legislation, basically, which says that you outlaw super PACs, among other things. That's the first thing.
Who are the main opponents of this in Congress? If this were to come on the floor, I'm not asking you to call out names.
Well, I'll call out names. Mitch McConnell was one of the leaders in the effort.
Right.
As a Republican. But the big money interests love this. Right. Why wouldn't they? If you're a billionaire, you want to pick your candidate for president, what's a few $100 million to you? It's a great, they love it. Money talks, and they like that process.
Is the Democratic Party, in your view, a bigger obstacle to your ideas becoming mainstream than the Republican Party?
Look, the Republican Party in the last 15 years under Trump has undergone a major transformation. It used to be kind of a conventional George W. Bush, a center-right party. That's what it was. It represented the wealthy, corporate interests, banks, etc. What Trump has done is really...
This G poll broke my brain. Yeah, young people are starting to like China more. If you look at polling, basically people under the age of 44 are starting to like China more. Well, 41% don't know. That means that, man, only 45% unfavorable for Xi Jinping, 56 unfavorable for Benjamin Netanyahu. If there's anybody who's given less positive press in America than Xi Jinping, I can't imagine it. I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu gets a lot of positive press. When's the last time you saw positive press against Xi? Which does remind me, I was going to talk more about China's 5-year plan. They just put out another one.
Leaders from China's ruling Communist Party are gathering to discuss Beijing's economic development plan, with the party set to undergo its
I don't feel like listening to Dylan and the same old... I mean, I guess I'm just bored of it right now. You know? Like going through the motions.
Turnover in 8 years. For more, we're joined by the Wall Street Journal's China Bureau Chief, Jonathan Cheng. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Now, this meeting is to finalise the 5-year plan for China's economic future. What do we know about the priorities outlined?
Yeah, so you're right. This is a 5-year plan. The Communist Party likes to plan in long-term chunks here. And, actually, it's the sort of thing that was very out of fashion in the West, but you see a lot of countries in the West now looking at China, looking at what it's done in terms of high-end technology and thinking, well, maybe this isn't such a bad idea. 5 years ago, you saw China come out and say, we want to really prioritize technological self-sufficiency. And I think when you look at what they've done with artificial intelligence, semiconductors, electric vehicles, solar panels, rare earth minerals, you can see just how much they have accomplished here. And I don't think we're going to see a huge deviation from that going forward, because I think from Xi Jinping's point of view, I think what they're doing so far is working. And I expect that they'll probably reaffirm that and perhaps project that again further into the future.
So that's key, again, pouring resources into technology and innovation. Why is China so focused on this area?
Well, obviously, you can see that with this trade war between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping, the Chinese have really got a very powerful weapon here with the rare earth minerals. You see that with Prime Minister Albanese's visit to Washington and how much of a priority that was for the U.S. And this was something that China cultivated over many, many years. They really made it a priority to do this, and they went out and did it. So for one thing, I think they can see that it really works in the geopolitical chess match that they have against the West. But also, it also obviously generates new industries like electric vehicles. And of course, many of these things like semiconductors, artificial intelligence have military applications, which is obvious. I think China does foresee chances of conflict perhaps rising in the years to come and wants to make sure it's well positioned for that.
And Jonathan, prior to this meeting, there was a shock announcement of sorts, a purge of 9 generals. Who were these people and why were they let go?
Sure, actually their fates had already sort of been expected in that they had disappeared.
I love when we get like these anti-China guys from America give analysis.
For several months. The only question was what was going to be their fate. Were they going to get off easy, or were things going to be quite bad for them? And I think we now know that the result is quite bad for them. These are very, very senior military officials. In fact, they're ones that Xi Jinping himself had put into place a few years ago. Ostensibly, the reason is corruption, and I don't think there's anyone who doubts that there is a significant corruption in the Chinese military. But nonetheless, to have them be put into place by Xi Jinping and then removed in such a fashion a few years later, I think does raise a lot of questions about the state of China's military, about Xi Jinping.
So in China, when corruption is uncovered, people are arrested. Not all corruption has been defeated at once, so therefore it must have been because the military is gonna collapse. Like, you're just yapping. Whereas in America, corruption makes you a millionaire in the U.S. military. Okay, cool.
Jinping and how he wants to manage his senior lieutenants. And ultimately, I think we just have a lot more questions than answers here, but we may get some answers when we see what he decides to do in terms of filling these vacancies that are now there. Or is he going to put other people in that perhaps he sort of parachutes in that are loyalists to him, or are people coming up slowly and so on? So I think we'll all be watching very closely to see what they say.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump says he'll meet with Xi Jinping at the APEC summit in South Korea next week. What might we expect from this meeting if it does go ahead?
Well, ever since Donald Trump came to office earlier this year, of course, we've seen China and the U.S. get to these points now where tariffs or threats of tariffs are so high on either side that you start to worry for the global economy. Then they get together and they let some of that tension out of the room. They maybe don't resolve everything, but at least they pull back from the edge. I think that's really all that we're hoping for this time around, that they're able to walk back from the edge, because I don't think the U.S., I don't think China, I don't think the rest of the world wants to see the two largest economies in the world putting these unsustainable tariffs on one another.
Now, back to this, these planning meetings. What impact do these have on the rest of the world? These 5-year plans.
Well, again, it shows that when it comes to long-term planning, Beijing, they don't have to worry about elections in the same way that Australia or the United States has to worry about this. They can have someone like Xi Jinping, who's now been in power for 12 years or so and may have many more ahead, we don't know, but they're able to think about these things. They're able to say rare earth minerals. This is something that's going to be very important. It's going to be a critical ingredient in so many of the future technologies, and we're going to make sure that we lock that down in advance. And whatever the next rare earth minerals may be, we may not even really foresee what that may be, but they're surely thinking about this. They're looking for vulnerabilities. They want to patch up their own vulnerabilities. And if they're able to then have the rest of the world sort of at their mercy over this or that, then I think they want to have that opportunity as well. So I think that's really what they're doing here. And, the rest of the world, as I said, is paying attention. And I think they're starting to see, the advantages to this sort of system.
Really interesting to talk. Jonathan Cheng, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
China has effective governance. They removed members of the military who were corrupt, even though they had previous associations with Xi Jinping. That just sounds like good governance. You're like, never arresting anyone just because they worked with you, even though they were committing crimes, would be bad governance. Are we getting more anti-Platner stuff? Like, I'm going crazy over here trying to get people to understand the tattoo is not the only Nazi adjacent thing Platner has done. He shook hands with someone with an 88 shirt. Did he know the guy was that? I mean, that could be bad if they were buddies, or it could just be shaking hands with someone wearing a shirt. That's a little bit of a reach. That being said, Graham Platner, he's such a fucking idiot. All right, have we gotten the bell yet? Dow is heading down. Oh, wait, what? Meta lays off 600 employees within the AI unit. During this time, your internal access will be removed and you do not need to do any additional work for Meta. You may use this time to search for another role at Meta. It's paying 16 weeks of severance plus 2 weeks for every completed year of service, minus your notice period. Did they just hire these people? All right, so we've got an AI bubble. We have a trade war. Prices are extreme. Housing market is starting to collapse, meaning there's a lot more people trying to sell a house than buy it. Inventories of homes for sale in California markets jumped to highest in years. More listings than ever before. Hold on, I should search for something that's actually good search. LA spike to highest in years. Homes for sale. Okay, that's the same thing that I just looked at. Inventory on the rise. Have I shilled? I did earlier. I saw that Trump reached a deal to continue the income-driven student loan debt stuff and knew that the economy must be mega fucked. Dude is okay, calm down. Having a handshake with someone you don't know who they are is not the same thing. The tattoo is bad enough. But I understand why you guys are skeptical. I'm not telling you not to be. I mean, it is what it is. NVIDIA is discussing guaranteeing loans that OpenAI plans to take out to build its own data centers. A move that could saddle the chip giant with billions of dollars in debt obligations if the startup can't pay for them. The arrangement hasn't been previously reported. So in other words, wait a minute. NVIDIA is taking loans to sell its own chips? That's like me borrowing $50,000 to buy gifted subs and going, I have more subs than ever. My stream is so popular. Oh no. They're Enroning AI. Of course they are. They're capitalists. Of course they fucking are. All right, everybody. I'm going to call it there. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully we have something more auspicious to talk about. Here's all my links. I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace out.